Welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about The Traitors Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Sarah,
yeah,
are you ready for murder?
Yes, I am excited for some murder.
This show just hits me so good. I love this show. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I have to say, the host, Alan Cumming, and his over-dramatic way he talks about everything is my absolute favorite part of this show.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. They absolutely crush the theme, and the host is like perfect. He's over-dramatic, but also like it's intended to be silly.
Yeah.
It's like
I love it when they're doing a challenge and he is perched on like a chair or fancy throne, like in the middle of a field, just like commentating.
I can't even think of anybody that could be a better host of the show than him. Like,
oh yeah, it's fantastic.
So good. I mean, there are UK and Australian versions of the show that I have not watched yet, but I'm just gonna say that now Alan's the best host. Sight unseen on the other guys.
Yeah, it seems like an easy call.
I needed this. Needed to talk about it. I think this is my second favorite TV show after Survivor now. That's how good I think this new reality competition show is.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's really good.
Excited to get into it.
It helps that they like have returning players from other things. That really helps it. I don't think they need it. I mean, I think it helped them like get make the game popular, but now that I think it's like fairly well established, I think they could definitely just do new people as long as they you still have to cast well, but you know.
Yeah. I don't know anybody from this cast except I think there's a survivor or two that I have seen, but they were not recognizable to me when they were, clean and dressed up. So it was
okay.
It didn't necessarily help me any that I'd seen them before. So you might have to help me along the way as to who is who and why they are important or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know everybody, but I looked up everybody, so I will try my best to explain to you who everybody is.
Okay.
And my guess is you might have watched one of the survivors, but they're not the person you remember from their season the most. But I'll explain that when we get to it. Okay. We just finished watching Singles Inferno 3.
Yep.
So we're coming out of that. I needed a palate cleanser. After that, yeah. But we got comments from many people on our coverage of the finale. Some people were very happy to hear our opinion of the show. Some people did not like our opinion of the show. I think we got a record for most dislikes.
Oh yeah. And I think this is like the first time we got like negative comments, and like, I don't know, I kind of feel good about it. That means we grew outside of our immediate sphere, right? Like it feels like we got big enough that somebody didn't like us. So there we go. I don't know. Maybe that logic doesn't make any sense.
What I like about it is that like we were so down on the show that like that's a show that we want to stick around and succeed. Apparently people are enjoying it even though we didn't. So that's good. The people that really won, some people commented about how much they liked how we talked about the show, but also they really enjoyed the show too. So they really won. They enjoyed the podcast and the TV show. But yeah, the positive comments were definitely greater in magnitude than the negative.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we set our personal record on the negative.
Right, yeah.
Let's go. All right, let's get to Traitors though.
All right.
So, Traitors, for people that don't know, it's on Peacock in the U.S. Their blurb on the show is, in the ultimate game of deception, contestants work together on thrilling missions in the Scottish Highlands to win a prize of up to $250,000. Not really the best description of the show, but yeah. We kind of explained this before. I've talked about the show a few times before we talked about it, but it's basically like a mafia style game where there's 20. I think it's weirdly like 21 to start.
Yeah,
21 to start this show, and 2 of them are basically going to get randomly selected to be traitors that each night they're going to like decide one person to murder and then they're out of the game.
Yeah, a lot of shows will say eliminate or whatever. This one's like, no, it is a murder.
Yeah, it's definitely murder. And then during the day, everybody living in the castle has to vote to like banish somebody. So the traitors are trying to eliminate everybody, basically, as many non-traitors as possible. Well, we'll talk strategy as we go. But yeah, in general, the traitors are trying to kill the non-traitors and not get
called
banished.
The faithful.
The faithful, yeah. And then the faithful are trying to banish the traitors so that they stop getting killed at night. That's the essence of the game. It's simple, but there's so many ways to think about it. I actually, what I really like about this game is like I don't think there's one strategy that's necessarily the best. It's just like it really depends on the players you're playing with. And like I have my thoughts on the strategy with what I've seen as the meta of the TV show for 2 seasons.
Okay.
But if everybody on the season thought the same way I did, then it would no longer be effective. It's like it's like one of those things where you can like double, triple, quadruple bluff people into thinking. It depends. It just depends on who you're playing with and whether they're gonna fall for the double bluff or do you need a triple bluff to really fool them. Yeah. But I believe the season's gonna be 12 episodes, about 1 hour each. 21 contestants. I think there's one being added later.
Okay.
But yeah, very exciting show.
I was not exactly clear on how it ends. Is it just if they manage to vote out all the traitors, then it's over and the faithful win? And if the traitors get rid of enough faithful, then it ends and they win? Is that pretty much it?
So the way it ended in season 1, which is I assume this is the normal format, is that it gets to the point like the show is not going to let like all the traitors to get eliminated without, making somebody else a traitor. Like some traitors are going to make it to the end of the game. But then when it gets to like final 5 or 6, basically they'll have an opportunity to like unanimously vote to like end the game.
Oh, okay.
But if one person chooses not to end the game, then they have to banish another person.
I see.
And then like the final banishment ceremony is just like a series of banishments until you get to the final 2, because then you can't banish anybody anymore. So you can, if you think you have gotten rid of all the traitors, you can just agree.
So if you get down to the final 2 and it's a traitor and a faithful,
the traitor wins.
The traitor wins. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more strategy later. Let's just let's meet our contestants here.
Sure.
Yeah, so let's go through the contestants. I'm excited to it's exciting that none of these people.
Yeah, I wrote down this is a bunch of reality stars and one random old British politician. What is happening?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, actually, one person might not even be a reality star, but
yeah, there is a boxer in here.
Oh, yeah, there's boxer. There's also Michael Jordan's son. I don't know if you picked up on that, but
oh, I did pick up on that. But at the beginning, when they're all coming in cars, and the things are like from Survivor or whatever, or Housewives of Who What Now, I was like, okay, why is this random politician here?
Yeah, okay. Let's go through them all.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping track of some of them. There are definitely like 3 to 4 blonde women who are interchangeable to me, and I've not been able to keep track of.
Okay, I'll help you out.
Okay.
It's hard for me too. All right, let's go through we have them in alphabetical order, except the last 4 are going to be like some of the main people, so we'll save them for last. Okay. First we have Bergie. Burgalicious.
Burgalicious.
That's what Phaedra called her.
Oh, that's right.
In the one. But his nickname is Bergie. I believe his last name is like Bergerson or something, which is why he goes by Bergie. Okay. Yeah, so he's from I don't know most of these people. He's from Love Island, USA, season 5, and he in the wiki it says he was a fan favorite of the show and fan favorite of the show for his nice guy ways. So there you go. That's all you need to know about Bergie.
Yeah, he. I don't know. I've never seen Love Island, but when I saw he was from it, I was confused. He did not strike me as a.
He was a fan favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I know nothing about that show. There we go. I was confused.
So, like, what this show is doing is, like, they're trying to get a bunch of, like, audiences from different shows to come watch this show.
Yeah.
So, I agree. It's weird to bring in Love Island people onto this show. Now, I have, like, a little bit of a sense that Bergie is at least, like, a fan of maybe Survivor or Big Brother or something. So I think he like I feel like he wanted to be on the show. I don't know. That's just a vibe I'm getting. I watched like Love Island 1, and maybe the show has evolved since season 1, but I did not get the sense that it was like a show that you could win. But apparently there are winners on Love Island, which I'm not,
okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not so deep in the reality TV that I know what that means. But I think I read that Bergie did not technically win, but he did leave the show with a relationship. So he's basically just well liked.
Okay. That's weird that does not qualify as a win on a
I don't know.
dating show, but okay.
Maybe they got together after. I'm not sure. I don't even know the context of what winning is. Okay. All right. Here's somebody I can tell you about. CT. He was on many seasons of The Challenge. The Challenge is a reality TV show that brings back the same people over and over and over again if they are popular on the show, basically.
Is it just a series of like physical challenges, or is there a social aspect?
There's a social aspect that you can always get by if you just win the challenges, though. So it's like, yeah, you basically like vote people into elimination, and then they do like a head-to-head, and then like one person gets eliminated. But if your social game is terrible, you can just keep winning every elimination you get put into, and like you can get all the way to the end. The finals is just one big challenge. Like there's no social aspect to the end of the game.
Oh, okay.
So he's probably been on like 20 seasons of the challenge, and he's won like 6 times, like something like that. It's that's how big of a deal he is in the challenge space. His quote on the wiki is he cultivated a bad boy persona, but he's aged into a more mellow place in his life. That's a good.
Okay.
I am only a like challenge watcher in the last few years. So and CT has been on. I watched CT win a season of the challenge, but I'm not familiar with like the history that he's gonna have with Trishelle from like way back in the day. Like I have no idea. I have no idea what the hell that's about. But apparently he could have beef with Trishelle, but it hasn't really come up.
Yeah, as they first have people come into this show, they seem to highlight some pre-existing beefs, which I didn't know anything about, but I don't know if they didn't seem like they really came up in the 3 episodes we watched, but at the beginning they were like, ooh, watch out for these two.
Yeah, there's a couple of relationships that are highlighted as if like there's going to be something later, maybe, but we haven't gotten to the first 3 episodes. All right, next is Dan Giesling. He's a Big Brother winner. I think Phaedra's gonna misspeak and say he's a 2-time winner. I think he may have like gotten 2nd place in a 2nd season he played.
Okay.
I've watched more Big Brother than The Challenge, but I have not. I think I started watching Big Brother like right after Dan Giesling's seasons.
Okay.
But based on podcasts I listen to, I believe like he might be on like the Mount Rushmore of Big Brother players. Like that's how big a deal he is in the Big Brother space. But I haven't actually seen him play, so I'm not familiar with his like personality, which is gonna come up on this.
Yeah.
Also, Dan is gonna be one of our traitors. So there you go. All right. All right, Deontay Wilder. This is amazing that he's on this TV show. This is one of the wild cards. No pun intended. Okay. Wilder is a professional boxer who held the WBC heavyweight title from 2015 to 2020. He held that shit for a while. He won a bronze medal in the heavyweight division at the 2008 Olympics and earned the nickname the Bronze Bomber. He's got an amazing knockout to win percentage. So basically he's like known for like
winning by knocking people out.
Yeah, but he's also like a heavyweight boxer, which means there's like no weight limit. So like I don't follow boxing, but I watched Wilder versus Fury like in like 2020 when they had their like they faced each other like 3 times in a row or something. But he was boxing against a guy that was bigger than him. It's like
okay.
Like it's not like when you have like whatever weight class boxers where they're all like within like 5-10 pounds of each other. It's like he's a big deal. He's a big guy, and he held basically like the world championship in boxing, one of the world championships in boxing for 5 years. He's pretty famous, which is going to be important for one of the challenges later. Deontay's going to be if also when I'm bringing up these people, if you want to like talk about anything they did, that's fine too. We don't have to save it. you know, because Deontay's going to get very...
He cries a lot. I wasn't expecting that, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by Deontay on this show because I didn't expect to see him on the show, and now that he's here, he's really getting emotionally invested into what's going on. It's actually kind of
wild. Like whenever they vote off a person who isn't a traitor, he is the saddest boy. Like it hits him really hard. The rest of these people, I guess, are used to voting people off and betraying them or whatever. But he's just used to punching people. He's not.
Yeah.
The betrayal aspect is not a part of his daily life, I guess.
And there's also seems to be some sort of like personal history where like he feels like in the past like he got accused of things that he wasn't like guilty for. And took the fall. So
like everybody's like ganging up on somebody and not listening to them. That really he connects with that. Yeah.
But it's amazing to watch this World Heavyweight Championship boxer have these emotions on this show. It's awesome. Yeah. All right, then we have Ekin Su, who was the winner of Love Island UK season 8. I don't know what that means, but another Love Island person.
Okay,
that's all I know.
All right.
Janelle on the wiki, it said practically reality competition TV royalty. Janelle was a competitor on 4 seasons of Big Brother, 1 season of The Amazing Race, and co-winner of the USA's Network's Snake in the Grass, Sarah, which we talked about.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Not her episode, but I believe it says co-winner. I believe she was on I think they figured out who the snake was on her. I didn't watch it, but
okay. Yeah, she is one of the blonde women I get confused between.
Oh, really? Okay, I don't get confused between her because I guess I've seen her before, but she might also be on the Mount Rushmore Big Brother players. She's also a name that I hear a lot on Big Brother podcasts, and when they talk about like whenever they reference like historical stuff, she comes up a lot. I think she's known for her competition performances. Like she might have held or still holds like the most competition wins in a season or something like that.
All right.
And she did play with Dan on a season. I think that's important to note. I didn't watch that season, but they did play together.
Unclear if it was his winning season or not.
I don't know. I want to maybe he got second that season from what I was looking at. I don't quote me on any of this because I didn't watch it. But Dan tells us that he voted out Janelle for that season. I don't know if Big Brother, a lot of sometimes there's just like crowd mentality. Everybody jumps on, and I don't know if he was like the person pushing to get Janelle. But so far it doesn't seem like there's any issues between Janelle and Dan. If anything, I feel like they must be on good terms, and we can get into why that is.
Okay.
Since Dan is going to be one of the traitors. Okay, then we have John Burkow. You can tell me about John Burkow.
This is the random old British politician guy who does not look like he belongs.
This is what the wiki said about him. It said, if you watched any UK news until 2019, there's a good chance you caught former UK Parliament Speaker of the House of Commons, John Burkow, bellowing order at his peers who wouldn't get quiet on the floor. Now retired, he brings with him a reputation for bullying that might not do so well in the Traitor Mansion.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. But like, whenever anybody's like order, like in a movie, are they just like mimicking this guy? Is like this the original person to say order?
Oh, I don't know about that, but
did he start it? Like, has he been in the parliament for like 50 years saying order?
Unclear. Have not made it a hobby to follow British politics that closely, but
I mean, he does say it well. Like, he does it for the show. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
It's also funny because just like physically he sticks out because he is seemingly much older than everybody else and also fairly short. And I feel like most people are kind of taller in this, and it's just which one of these doesn't belong here? It feels silly.
He must be well known. Like the reason he's getting cast is because they're like trying to get political followers of the UK to like, let's check out this show. Like I actually don't know what's going on. What's weird is they brought him in like not on the UK version of the show, but on
maybe US. They're trying to get the UK Traitors viewers to also watch the US Traitors show.
I mean, I honestly I should go watch the Australian and the UK because the show only comes out once a year, and it's, the format's so good. I don't think it matters. Maybe like the personalities are a little bit different between the countries, but that's probably about it. All right, then we have Kevin.
Yep, Kevin. I don't know anything about Kevin.
It says he's a model and fitness professional, and he was a breakout star on the reality show Bling Empire. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is.
I've never heard of that before.
Parvati is gonna vote for him and say that he's like an actor. I don't know if that's part of the Bling Empire TV show or if he is now an actor. I'm not sure. I know very little about him.
Okay. Oh, I just Googled it, and Bling Empire is crazy rich Asian American folks in LA. So there we go.
But I thought when I was looking up it, I thought he was like not rich, or he didn't come from a rich background, or maybe he's rich now, and I don't know.
he might not be the main rich person. He might be one of the less rich people on the show, but that's apparently the concept of the show. All around some rich Asian American folk.
He's going to be part of the fake beef strategy with Peter later in the show, so we'll talk about Kevin a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, then we have Larsa Pippen.
Uh-huh.
You familiar with the last name Pippen, Sarah?
I mean, it sounds like a hobbit to me.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's got nothing to do with Lord of the Rings.
Exactly what it is. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. An original cast member on The Real Housewives of Miami. Pippen is the ex-wife of former NBA player Scottie Pippen. Wait, ex-wife? Okay. Hold on, this is way spicier than I thought it was. Okay. She has made the rounds on many of the celebrity-centric reality shows, so she has plenty of prior friendships and competitor knowledge. I wrote that down because I thought that came up in the show, but I think they were actually talking about Peppermint when they were talking about somebody that knew all the shows. She's the ex-wife. Okay, do you know who Scottie Pippen is, Sarah?
This is a name I've heard of, I think.
Okay, do you know who Michael Jordan is?
You just said basketball, right?
Do you know who Michael Jordan is?
I do know who Michael Jordan is. Okay. Yes, I know who Michael Jordan is.
Wait. Break this down for me. Is this right?
What?
Oh yeah, he was. Yes, Michael Jordan from Space Jam. That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Wait, so she was Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. Okay.
Uh-huh. And now she's on this show dating Michael Jordan's son.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope we have all this right, but that's crazy. Wait, I guess it's not. It feels a little incestuous, but it's not, right?
Just because it's basketball people?
No, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan played together on all championship. They were on the same team. For years. They won 5 championships together, or whatever it is.
So it makes sense that she knows this guy.
Okay, but it's Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
Michael
Jordan's son.
Well, what reasonably famous basketball man Scottie Pippen married a wife who was probably younger than him, and so is that where you're getting caught up? The age potential,
it's just
generational
weird
difference
dynamic between a really famous era in basketball and the two best players on the best team for a while. It's very
okay. Yeah, that might be a little awkward, I guess. Yeah.
All right, here.
I don't know.
Larsa Pippen is 49.
Okay.
We're gonna meet Marcus Jordan later. He is 33.
I mean, good job, her.
Okay.
Know?
Okay. It's a little weird, right? Am I? Maybe the wiki's wrong. Do I have to confirm this? Can you confirm this?
I mean,
I'm double checking to make sure it does say XY.
Yeah.
I'm probably the last person besides you finding out about this, and it's blowing my mind a little bit. But okay.
No, I think we got it. We got it right. She used to be married to one basketballman, and now she is being a younger basketballman, or the son of a basketballman. I guess he does not play basketball.
Okay.
And he's younger.
It's not random basketball men though. It's very specific. 2 best players from the greatest team of all time. It's
so she only goes for either the very best basketball men or their sons.
Oh, she upgraded.
She's got a type. Well, it's fine.
She went from the second best player to the son of the best. I don't know what's best.
I'm fairly sure that their basketball acumen is not the top of the reason she dated them.
Once she moves on past Michael Jordan's son, what is it Scottie Pippen's grandson is next or something. Dennis Rodman's.
We have far outstretched any basketball knowledge for me. If it's not in Space Jam, I don't know.
Okay. She's gonna date Bugs Bunny's son next. Okay. Yeah. So Larsa Pippen in a relationship with Marcus Jordan. Both of them are going to be on this season. Let's talk about Marcus now. Why not? Marcus Jordan, the second oldest child of basketball legend Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be labeled as a fashion entrepreneur.
Ah, okay.
But I don't think that's why he's here. At first, I thought like, oh, was he on like Project Runway or something? I was like, I thought it was something like that, but I think he's just here because he's Michael Jordan's son, and also he's in a relationship. Their relationship must be like this must have been a big deal, and I just didn't know about it.
And I mean, if she is still on this, can you be on the Housewives show? I've not seen any of the Housewives show, but if you get divorced, do you have to leave the show? Probably not. So maybe he has also been on the show with her. She continues to be on the show, and he shows up. I don't know.
You think they have like strict rules where you have to be a
They
wife?
Probably do not. But I've never seen it, so I cannot tell you.
Okay. I haven't watched it either. Yeah, the Housewives, they had Housewives in season 1, and one of them really paid off as a character on the show. So
oh, really?
They went back to the well in season 2. See,
I was of the impression that like your Survivors, your Big Brother people, maybe the challenge people, we're all going to have a more of an advantage.
Oh, they definitely do.
Then
they absolutely do.
Your dating show people or your, Housewives people.
That doesn't mean the Real Housewives people don't know how to make good TV.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll tell you, I'm glad they brought some of these Housewives people there. Wait till we get to. All right, let's just talk about it. Mm-hmm. Let's just go right to her. Let's talk about Phaedra.
Oh yeah, when everybody first got introduced, I'm like, I like her. I think she's my favorite.
Oh really? Right from the get-go? Before she was a traitor?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I was like, I like her attitude. She'll be fun to watch.
Once she reacted to becoming a traitor, I was in on her. And she is absolutely crushing it right now.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But yeah, Phaedra is a reality TV veteran of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, and Married to Medicine.
Well, dang.
But she's also a lawyer. She's also a lawyer.
Oh, really?
Watch out.
Okay. She's probably, poised to do pretty well on this.
Yeah. And then she has her relationship on the show is with Sherry, who is an on and off cast member of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't know how good their relationship is, but it seems to be all right. But they bring in these pairs of people into the show.
I see.
At least people that they're not necessarily pairs, but they have history at least.
Okay.
Or they're dating each other. All right, okay. We have MJ. MJ is a real estate agent featured in the cast of Shahs of Sunset. I have no idea what that is.
I've never heard of that.
But listen to this. She admitted in season 2 of the series that she is a felon convicted of bank fraud.
Oh.
So she has experience bending the rules. Is what the word is.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, that's a positive way I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's MJ. This cast is unbelievable. Can you imagine if this cast was like the final 20 of you know what I'm about to say? What's the show?
No,
Squid Game. Like if this cast was the final 20 of Squid Game, like how good would have Squid Game been if this
that
was the
been
final
good,
20 in Squid Game? Yeah. Many of these people would not do Squid Game, but that's besides the point. All right. All right, we're gonna meet Parvati.
Big horse girl energy.
Horse? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I mean, every time, like, I don't know why she always has a sparkly headband on. Is her hair always braided or up in some way?
I mean, on Survivor, it wasn't.
I don't know that well, yeah, okay. So I think I may or may not have seen her on Survivor, but I did not recognize her in this. And I don't know that I ever see what she's wearing, like, on her feet. But I feel like at any time if they pan down, she'd just be wearing riding boots. I don't know. There's just something about, like, her aesthetic that I'm like, that's a horse girl. Might not be true.
Oh, you just mean like
that's the vibe I got.
Rides horses.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you meant by that. Okay, I had no idea where you going with that.
Rides horses and is like really into riding horses, you know?
I think it's just whatever like costume they gave her for the show. Because I feel like there's a little bit of like a murder
Oh, you think
mystery.
those are not her clothes?
Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like there's a bit of like a murder mystery kind of aesthetic that they're going for, and I feel like they're given attire to wear on this show.
Okay. Well, they chose to make her look like a horse girl.
Some people are in the fashion industry and care about their image and may do their own thing, but yeah, I at first when I was seeing trailers, I thought it was like, oh, they're like dressing her as like the housemaid or something. Like that's what I thought she looked like in all the trailers.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think you've seen Parvati.
Okay.
If she's not like original Survivor enough, I don't think. But she is a Survivor legend and a Survivor winner. She played Survivor 4 times.
Okay.
And she's basically like the popular like Survivor crush that people have. Like she's like the sexy flirt.
Like people on the show have a crush on her, or people watching the show have a crush on her?
Or both.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, she first played when she was 23, and now she's like a 41-year-old mom. So it's a little different vibe now. But yeah, there's even like this right before COVID, they filmed an all-winner season of Survivor, which she was on. And there was like this really embarrassing scene where like one of the younger winners from like the newer seasons like admitted to her that they had a crush on her when they were like a teenager. It was like really weird. I mean, it's fine awkward to have a crush on her, but to say it was weird. She was also married.
Yeah, you don't need to share that info. Also awkward.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, she was the leader maybe of the Black Widow Brigade on Survivor, which is one of the most iconic alliances in Survivor history. Which was a successful women's alliance, Sarah.
Okay.
They spun the men in their webs.
I guess you just need a good theme with your women's alliance, and then it works out.
Yeah, or they just stick together and they're all better players anyway.
Yeah, fair.
And she also recently, like 2 weeks before the show aired, recently came out as queer and is dating Mae Martin.
I know who Mae Martin is. There we go.
Why didn't they should have had Parvati and Mae Martin. I don't know if she was dating.
Oh my God,
at the time.
Mae Martin on this show would be hilarious.
Okay. I have not. I think she has like a Netflix stand-up, right? Mae Martin.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, and then I think they go by they them these days, and they have a like fictional show too that is sort of loosely based on their life and that I really enjoyed. But I feel like they would be a basket full of nerves on this show and not enjoy the pressure.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then we have Peter, an alumni of season 15 of The Bachelorette, and then was the Bachelor in season 24 of The Bachelor. There you go.
Okay.
He's big in The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I'm going to be impressed by Peter on the show, I'll be honest. He's doing some good things out there. Okay.
Interesting.
We met Phaedra. Okay, let's get to Sandra. Sandra is our other Survivor player. This, you might have watched the season that Sandra
I have seen a season with Sandra on it. Yeah. I just didn't recognize her at first.
Do you remember Rupert from Survivor? The tie-dye.
Sounds real familiar.
The tie-dye shirt man.
Yeah,
acts like a pirate.
So?
Acts like a pirate. Do you remember that?
Oh, wait, I don't know.
Well, the season was pirate themed, and he leaned into it, kind of. All right. Well, Sandra won that season, but Rupert was like the popular player that everybody remembers.
Okay.
But Sandra won Survivor twice, and she held that record for years until recently when they did the all-winner season, and then somebody else became a second-time winner. She did not defend her title or win. She was on the season, but she didn't win. She could have won the third time. But yeah, she's played on American Survivor 4 times. I believe she also played on Survivor Australia, like with her daughter.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, she's been on Survivor a lot. They're really hyping up this beef between Parvati and Sandra. Like it was all over the trailers for the show before it came out.
Yeah. I don't know that I've seen much of it on the actual show so far.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a thing, I guess, at some point. I don't really know like the details of why they would have so much conflict with each other. Like they were both on they were both on a season of Survivor called Heroes versus Villains, and it was all returning players.
Okay.
And
they were heroes, or were they villains?
They were both on the villains tribe, which doesn't really mean anything villainous, really. It's just like you have to fill out a cast and somebody has to be villains. Yeah, they're well loved in the Survivor community despite being quote unquote villains. They didn't really work together, I would say, that season, but like there was a point in the season where Parvati had like 2 idols, and she played it for like Sandra and another person at the same tribal council, but she like didn't tell Sandra she was going to do it. So like they weren't really working together, but also she like played an idol on Sandra, and they basically ended up going to the end of the game together with somebody who was like an actual villain. And then Sandra won, and Sandra ends up winning the season. So I think they're like, I don't know if they have any like actual tangible conflict with each other. That I don't know, but I think there's just this kind of jockeying for like who's the greatest female player in Survivor history, or just greatest player in general. Like I can conservatively easily say like they're both like top 10 Survivor players of all time. I think, and like you could easily argue that like maybe they're number 1. You know, it's like they're yeah. I won't get too deep into who's the best player of all time, but that's where they are. These Big Brother players and these Survivor players are like top notch, legends and for their shows, basically. All right, then we have Sherry. We talked about Sherry. Tamra, a longtime member of the cast of The Real Housewives of Orange County. Okay, we another housewife person.
Yeah, this is another one of the blonde.
So Tamra and Trishelle, I was definitely confusing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Trishelle is an OG reality TV star. Became famous with her party girl persona on The Real World Las Vegas. Okay.
Oh, okay.
She then moved on to many seasons of The Challenge. She also did a stint of professional wrestling known as the Red Hot Redneck.
Oh, unfortunate name, but okay.
And she plays professional poker.
Oh, okay. She's all over the place.
Yeah, she's all over the place. Like theoretically, you would think she would be good, but she's not gonna do too well in these first 2 episodes.
I mean, she's still on the show. She didn't get murdered or voted out. So
she theoretically has a bad relationship with CT, but hasn't really come up. And I have no idea what it is. Like it's really back in the day of The Challenge, or even before The Challenge. All right, Max, a beloved longtime professional dancer on the American version of Dancing with the Stars. Ever watched Dancing with the Stars, Sarah?
I have seen perhaps a clip or so of it.
Yeah. I mean, you might have seen him and you still don't know who he is. I've watched Dancing with the Stars before. I've probably seen him.
So presumably he's one of the like professional dancers that dances with the celebrities who can't dance. Okay.
Yeah. Peppermint. You don't know Peppermint, Sarah?
I don't. Like, I actually have never watched Drag Race. I've just not gotten around to it. I'm a bad queer person. I'm sorry.
The runner-up of season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race must be a big deal if she's more popular than Deontay Wilder.
Well, she is actually like a Broadway star now too. Like,
okay, there you go.
Like, yeah, her fame goes beyond Drag Race.
I think Peppermint. I really enjoyed Peppermint on the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Peppermint is great.
Unfortunately, have not seen Peppermint before, but she was great. Yeah, she also, I feel like she is also like a reality TV fan. Like the Traitors talk about her being like, oh, she knows everything about reality TV. And I feel like she was like a fan of this show in particular. So I also
okay.
I felt like she wanted to be here. And then Johnny Bananas, Sarah. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed. This is a blow to anybody who's a fan of the challenge. This is gonna be our first murder, Johnny Bananas. Many seasons of the challenge. Also has won many seasons. Like, you know, he's right there with CT, like played 20-ish seasons. Maybe he won 7 times, you know, something like that. It's he is infamous as a contestant on the challenge for causing fights and stealing other people's winnings.
Oh, jeez.
So he's recently like on a show on E, I think it was on, called House of Villains, which was like a Big Brother style show where they brought back like villains from a bunch of reality TV shows and they played like a Big Brother style game. So his villain move is like The Challenge is such a weird show, and like I have mixed feelings about it. But he was on like a season where the way the Challenge works is like there's men and women on the season, and they can like vote against each other and stuff to like put each other in eliminations. But like the men only compete against the men.
Oh,
and like the women only compete against the women in eliminations, basically. And then in the end, like a man and a woman win the show.
Interesting.
But he was on a season where, for whatever reason, they decided to do a twist at the end where like him and one other person, him and a woman like won the show, and then they made it a twist that like he outperformed the woman, or he like came first overall. So they gave him the opportunity to just steal the woman's prize money. And just take like all the money, like the men and the women's money.
Oh,
and he was just like, yeah, sure, I'll take it.
That's a weird thing to put in your show. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the Challenge is a weird show, like sometimes, but like, yeah. And he just like took the money, and that's what he's like. That's basically why he got on House of Villains.
All right.
Unfortunately, I didn't watch that either, but I just know the story. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see Johnny Bananas. I was so excited to see Johnny Bananas on the show because I wanted to see how he stacked up against like the Big Brother and and the Survivor people, and he's just going to get murdered. Like
he's too infamous.
Like getting murdered by the traitors in this game, it's like it's kind of random. You know, it's just unfortunate. Like there's nothing he did wrong. It's just we didn't get the chance to see him. But all right. Those are the contestants. It's an amazing cast. Like even the people I don't know. I mean, some people haven't really come to the forefront too much yet, but some of the people I had no idea who they are. I'm all about them now. Like I'm invested in them already.
Yeah.
But all right, how do you want to talk about the actual events on this show?
I mean, a lot of the show is just them in the house talking and trying to figure out a reason to vote anybody out, but we could go through the like how they got picked as traitors, and then their missions and stuff that has to happen.
How'd you feel about the opening of the show? The opening of the show gets me hyped.
I liked it. It was cool. Like it shows a lot of the Scottish landscape, and it's a big mansion, but they're like, ooh, but it's spooky, and that's the vibe I enjoy.
Yeah, this show gets like very like Fear Factor at times in ways that, like I don't like in the trailers that you saw. Did you see any like the?
I didn't watch any trailers.
Or like in like the previews for later in the season, did you see any like? Yeah, so like in season 1, like there's a challenge where like some of the contestants are like buried alive, and then there's like they have to use flashlights, and there's like clues on the inside of the coffin that they have to like radio to the other people so they can like figure out where they are and like dig them up, basically.
That's a bit intense.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this show is doing it. And then there's a scene where they're basically in like in season 1 they had to do a like an escape room, but the escape room was like filled with rats, and then they got like maggots and other creepy crawlies like dumped on them while they're like trying to solve puzzles. So I was like, damn, this is like getting real Fear Factor.
I'm glad we didn't get any of that in these first 3 episodes. That sounds gross.
I mean, yeah. But it's kind of funny when you get these like Real Housewife people doing these Fear Factor things. Because there's a point where one of them says like, I think it was like Tamra or somebody, it was like, I am not being buried alive, because like probably they watched season 1.
I just took that as an offhanded comment because they were like digging stuff up out of a cemetery. But okay, geez.
Yeah, yeah. The theme of the show is great. The castle grounds is great. They had like a drum line performing at the castle when they showed up. Did you see that? Right. That was intense. Yeah. Then they had like pyrotechnics to like when Alan entered for the first time, like big balls of like Undertaker flames coming out. It was awesome. The show just goes all out.
Alan always makes a dramatic entrance. I love it.
Yeah. So they like really lean into the murder mystery theme, but then they keep it like a bit silly so that it's like like the show doesn't take itself too seriously, which I enjoy that, which is why Alan's just like perfect as a host.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Then the first time you get to meet the round table, Sarah, this is a great table that they have here.
Yeah.
It's for the traitor selection.
This is so silly. It is like if you were playing a game of Mafia, this is exactly how you'd pick people. Like for us, like, elaborate as the house is and the like pyrotechnics of the entrance, it's really just everybody's blindfolded. He walks around the circle a bunch of times and then pokes people in the shoulder to indicate that they're traitors.
Yeah. Did you think you were going to get to know who the traitors were?
I didn't think we were going to get to know right away, but we just see it.
I was surprised in season 1. So in season 1, they Alan just touches 3 people, and then those are the traitors. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, I guess we just know who the traitors are. But ultimately, I think it is kind of more fun to know.
Yeah.
I would imagine this game is very frustrating to play as a faithful. And I don't think you necessarily want your viewers to have that frustration, basically.
There's like literally nothing to go on to like pick somebody. Because like there are missions, but there's nothing dictating that the traitors would want to fail the missions. In fact, they definitely want to succeed at the missions.
Yep.
Because it just increases the prize pool at the end. Mm-hmm. And so there's like literally nothing that a traitor is forced to do that is visible that would indicate that they're a traitor. So you're just like, I don't know, the vibes are off with that person. Sure, let's argue about that for half an hour.
Yeah. There really isn't anything to go on. My strategy, or the way that I would look at it if I was a faithful, is not trying to figure out who the traitor is as much as I'm trying to figure out who the other faithfuls are. And I'd be narrowing it down that way. And then I'd just be like, I would defend people that I think are faithfuls at the round table, but I wouldn't, like, if somebody, I don't really care. Like, if there's somebody I don't ever read on, I'll just, like, gamble that they're the traitor. Like, that's how I would feel.
But what, like, things would you be looking for to indicate that someone...
All right, let's get into that. Okay. All right, first of all, would you want to be a traitor, Sarah?
No, I'm terrible at these things, and I would be stressed. I mean, obviously, the correct answer is you want to be a traitor because that's where you have the most influence in this game or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am bad at lying and would be found out immediately, and I just would not enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're bad at lying. I guess if you know yourself and you know you wouldn't be good, you're hoping to be unfaithful, but by far the traitors have an advantage.
Oh, yeah.
I've only watched 1 season of the show. Maybe if I watch more, like, maybe there are some advantage being faithful in terms of, like, if you look at it in terms of teams, I don't know who has, like, the greater chance of winning, the traitors or the faithful, as, like, a team. But as an individual, like, it just sucks to be Johnny Bananas and just get murdered on the first day.
Yeah, you do have, like, twice as many opportunities to get kicked out, because you could get voted out because people think you're sus, or you could be murdered because the traitors pick you to murder.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're a traitor, you only have to deal with people thinking you're sus.
Yeah. So, like, even if you think you're going to be bad as a traitor, like, at least you can probably, like, why would anybody suspect you to be the traitor? Like, maybe when you start getting accused, you won't be able to, like, defend yourself well, but, like, you'll probably easily make it, 5 rounds or, like, 5 eliminations into the show at least without. But I don't know. Maybe you think if you're a faithful, the traitors would also never kill you. So I don't know. It depends on your perspective. There's so many different perspectives. I would absolutely be a traitor. I would want to be a traitor. Like, give me it. I'll figure it out. All right. So yeah, Alan is basically going to walk around the room and poke people. Important to watch him in terms of what's going to happen. Like, while he walks, he definitely goes around like a full time without touching anybody. Right.
Right.
And then he's definitely like pulling his arms up and down and like faking for the camera, basically. Like, oh, am I going to touch this person? So like he's moving around a good amount with his arms.
And not just faking for the camera. Like, people are listening for how he's moving too. So it's a good fake for that.
Yeah. I don't know if he's really thinking about that when he does it, but that's going to come up here. So he touches Dan and Phaedra. So it's the Big Brother guy and Real Housewives of Atlanta lawyer.
And nobody knows how many traitors there are going to be either, which is...
Yeah. I don't know what's in the official rules. So I watched a podcast where they played a season of the Traitors in like 6 hours.
Okay.
And the players that season were largely people that are fans of the show The Traitors, or even podcasts about the Traitors. So there was a lot of like insight into how they think about the show. But I think the rule for them was like, oh, it could be anywhere from 2 to 4. But then they also made it 3 traitors on that as well. So they're only going to choose 2 here, but then they're going to tell everybody, including the faithful, that whoever was selected as the traitors is going to choose another traitor. So I think there's at least 2 that Alan selected if you're faithful, and that another. Okay. So there's at least 3, but maybe you should also be thinking. They want you to think like, oh, maybe there's also 4.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what this does, like not telling them the exact number, I think what you have to do at the end game of this, and I think what the show wants people to do, is I think you're very incentivized to not end the game until there's 2 people left.
Yeah, okay.
Because and the main reason for that is because it's, even though there's like faithfuls and traitors, like the faithfuls and the traitors like don't share the money at the end of the TV show. It's like you have to still be alive, right? So even if you get the final 3 and they're all faithful, and even if you know they're all faithful, like you're still kind of incentivized to like banish one more person.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
But also, like, if you're faithful and there's 3 people left, you're like, well, I just increased the odds of getting rid of a traitor if I banish one more person.
Right. Yeah.
And the only reason you wouldn't want to do it is if like you just knew for sure that you would be the next one banished. But if that was the case, then the other people should definitely vote to banish. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like they should always go to final 2, but the idea of like not knowing exactly how many traitors in the game, it kind of encourages that as well. But all right. So we get Dan and Phaedra, and later tonight they're gonna select a 3rd traitor and then also murder somebody.
Big night for them.
It is a big night. They did not do this in season 1. They just picked 3. What did happen in season 1 though was like in the middle of the season, like after one of the traitors got caught, the 2 traitors, instead of murdering one night, they like recruited another person to be a traitor.
Okay.
And then it got back up to 3 traitors. But in that case, the person that they recruited like had the option to say no. They made it seem like Parvati had a chance to say no, but I'm not sure if she really did. But also Parvati's not going to say no. So
not going to, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, so they select the traitors. Janelle thinks she heard John sitting next to her breathing loudly as Alan was like walking behind them.
Yeah, this becomes a whole freaking thing.
In these first 3 episodes, like they get way closer to getting a traitor than they did in like the first 4 or 5 episodes of season 1. Like the season 1, if you watch it, is like it starts out a little slow just because it's a lot of just like 2 faithfuls arguing about the other one being a traitor, and we just, as the audience, you just know they're wrong, and there is like an entertainment value to that, but they just like weren't even close. Whereas at least here, like this season's starting off really well because at least like, you know, they're picking up some clues as we go here. But John says that he had asthma as a child, which is going to be interpreted as like, oh, he has asthma.
Yeah. And it's going to be interpreted as everybody who has asthma should have an inhaler on them at all times.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a correct assumption either.
This is what I'll say. This is at least my read on the game. Like this happens right after selection, basically.
Yeah.
If I was a faithful, I would just assume that Janelle is a faithful right there.
Oh, okay.
It would be crazy for Janelle as a traitor to like take the blindfold off and instantly be like stirring the pot. Like if you got selected as a traitor, like there's no way, right? You're doing that.
Oh yeah.
If you did get selected as a traitor, Sarah, like what would you be? You'd be doing nothing, right?
I would be so quiet and focusing on my face, looking like a normal face.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the people that they bring on these shows have big personalities, and regardless of whether they're a traitor or faithful, might do what Janelle's doing here. But my instinct would just be like, there's no way a traitor is stirring the pot this fast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if I was a faithful, I would just be like, all right, Janelle's a faithful. I figured out one person. Like I'm not. Everybody's trying to like look at everybody's face and find like their tell that they're a traitor, and I just don't think that from what I've seen in 2 seasons of this, like that's just no one's a god tier face reader. Like as much as you think you are, you're not. People make faces regardless of who they are. Also, apparently, Larsa's hearing is really good, Sarah.
Oh, so good. She hears him raise an arm near her, and so she thinks, is it Parvati that she thinks is
Yeah, she thinks Parvati's a traitor because she definitely heard Alan raise his arm as he was walking by, even though he was doing that the entire time.
Yep.
So at this point, Parvati is not a traitor, but she's going to be the recruited.
Yeah.
So if Parvati ever gets caught, Lars is going to think she knew the whole time.
It's going to be ridiculous.
I mean, she'll find out when she watches the show. But this is also like to me, I love people like Janelle and Larsa on this show because like now I feel like I just know that both of them are faithfuls. Like it would be crazy to me if they were traitors and started out this hot after the blindfolds come off accusing somebody.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So we narrowed it down. We had 21 people.
But like of all of the people, those would be 2 people I wouldn't want to hang out with immediately.
Oh, well, you got to get over that, Sarah. You know, your team is decided for you here.
Yeah.
You can't. This isn't Survivor. You can't. Now, people may definitely make that mistake of targeting people that just don't like on the show. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Well, you know what? Now that you describe how it ends, like honestly, I feel like that changes my idea of the strategy. Okay. The strategy is now, sure, you want to vote a traitor out because maybe they'll pick another traitor and maybe it'll be you, and that's theoretically good for you. But other than that, it's just like survive until the end. It doesn't actually matter if you get it right or not. It's just keep people around who aren't going to vote you out.
Yeah. I mean, if you get to the end and like all the traitors are still there, like you're at the mercy of what the traitors want to do with you.
Yeah, but it almost sounds like the show wants to keep a certain number of traitors in the show for as long as they've deemed it already. So if you like, I feel like going into the end when you're down to that, like just voting people out or deciding to stay, you're going to have the same amount of traitors regardless. I don't know that that's true, but it sounds like the show might manipulate it to be that. So sure, you want to vote out a traitor because maybe then you'll be a traitor and theoretically that's better for your game. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to get rid of people.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to think about it.
And if you do actually figure out who a traitor is, it's kind of better to sit on it until you're down to that end bit and you can be sure that you know who they are and you can get rid of them.
Yep, that is definitely a strategy that was deployed in the podcast that I listened to. It kind of backfired. I figured it out. They kind of backfired though. It's like you figured out who they are, but then yeah, like there are definitely advanced strategies where you can do like if you figure out somebody's a traitor and you're faithful and you can like confront them about it like privately and then you could decide to work together, but like it hasn't in the 2 seasons that I've watched, it hasn't made it that far.
Oh, I wouldn't work together with them. I would just know who they were so that way I would know to vote them out when you get down to the final couple rounds of whatever bullshit how the show ends.
I mean, you want to get rid of them if you think they would murder you at night, right?
Well, that's also true. Yeah. So there is a benefit to trying to work with them.
But you're absolutely right. Like if you figure out one of the traitors, but they're like a traitor that you don't think would murder you, then there definitely is incentive to keep them around until the end and then get them like once you're in the final process, you know who they are and can get them out then. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm getting better at figuring these shows out.
Yeah. I've mostly thought about how I'd play this game as a traitor. That is a good point as a faithful. Okay. All right. That's most of the conflicts we get.
Yeah.
Both accusations so far are not correct.
Yeah.
Which is always fun. All right, let's talk about the challenges. So the challenges in the show are like what you were saying, like they don't really matter. Like
yeah, the whole time we've been told the prize money is up to what, $500,000, $250,000?
$250,000, yeah.
And so the way it gets up to that is you can win money during these challenges or to the prize pool.
Yeah. So in season 1 though, it's like at the very last challenge, like they had the opportunity to basically like get it back up to max.
Okay.
Which they were able to do. So, but what's different about the challenges this season is that they have the shields from the beginning. So in season 1, it didn't introduce the shields until like halfway through the season.
And do the shields only protect you from being murdered? They do not protect you from getting voted out?
That's correct. You can still be banished.
Okay.
Yeah. So they protect you from getting murdered by the traitors, which is good because you have no control over that pretty much. There are some things you can do, but not much. But basically, yeah, they're basically in the middle of this challenge. It's a team challenge to win money to add to the prize pool, but there's like 3 shields that you could take time away from the team to go get individually.
Yeah.
I really like this. I think the way to play this, Sarah, tell me what you would do here before I say.
Well, now that you tell me there is a final, like if you're anticipating that there's a final challenge that'll get you all the way to the top, then none of these matter. You should always go for the shield, regardless of if you're faithful or a traitor.
Yes, I think that's what it is. Like, and I kind of like this. Like, it's basically like a survivor immunity challenge where everybody's primary objective should be trying to get the shield and then go win the money afterwards, is what it should be.
Because at no point in any of these voting people out did somebody going to get a shield rather than help out ever come up as a reason to vote them out. And
yeah, if anything, it
makes you. Yeah, it helps you. It makes it look like you're worried about getting voted out. But if you're a traitor, you like that. That makes you look like a faithful. But also, it like means that somebody else doesn't get it, and therefore your murdering options are open.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the strategy's pretty like definitive. You should be going for the shield. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, depending on who's on the season, people might have emotions. If you like season 1, people got really wrapped up in like getting mad at people for not performing well in the challenges. It was like a whole thing that didn't make any sense in season 1. This cast is better than season 1.
Yeah, this cast does not give a fuck at all. Like literally in this first mission, they all start out tied up. And I think, was it Janelle?
Janelle, yeah.
Like unties herself, and where other people who have untied themselves start helping other people untie themselves, she immediately runs off to get a shield and then comes back and helps and does whatever. And nobody says shit about it at all. Yeah. Nobody's mad. They don't give a fuck. They get it. So with this group of people, 100% go for a shield. Challenges don't matter.
Yeah. Like, it might rub people the wrong way, but the majority of people are strategic enough where they're like, well, even though it's annoying, you know, it's like, it more likely she's a faithful, and that's why she's doing it. And this is kind of Janelle's whole thing. Like, she's like, as far as I understand, like, she's a challenge person. She, like, this is her strength, is going to be getting these shields faster than other people can. Especially if a lot of them aren't even trying to get them yet, you know. It's like, she kind of gets it because Janelle's going to go for a shield in all 3 challenges, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we have to talk about the specifics of these challenges unless there's something. I mean, you talked about being tied up or whatever. But yeah, Janelle, CT, and Deontay all get shields in this challenge.
Yeah, and usually just the format is they have a time limit to do a task, and usually they will be able to add increments of money up to whatever the prescribed amount for this particular challenge is. I think this one was an all or nothing one. The other ones are incremental.
Yeah.
It's just find some gold, dump it in a basket. Good job.
And whenever they complete a challenge, they always manage to do it with seconds remaining on the clock.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so there's no banishment on the first night. They just get to talk. Then we're going to get a whole Trishelle versus Peppermint conflict. What did you think about this whole thing? Trishelle and Peppermint.
Okay.
What's your interpretation?
As far as I saw it, they were talking about not wanting to get voted out. And Peppermint was like, I have a lot of very good clothes I would like you all to see, so I don't want to get voted out. And then the next thing that is said is Trishelle is like, well, now I know if I get voted out, that means you're a traitor, which is an entirely out-of-pocket thing to say. It has, like, there must have been something cut out. Like, A to B does not make sense. Like, that is not a response to what she just said. So Peppermint makes a face like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But then Trishelle decides that means, oh, I found out. She is a traitor. The logic is completely lacking in this entire thing. Yeah. It is dumb and annoys me.
Yeah, I can't tell if we're missing something or Trishelle, like, misinterpreted what Peppermint was saying. Like, it almost sounds like they were having a playful rivalry in terms of, like, who dresses better.
Yeah,
and then Trishelle was like, well, if I get murdered, I know it's you because you are jealous of, I don't even know. We didn't get any of that. I'm just purely speculating on what the conversation could have been.
Yeah, that's like the only way it could have. Yeah, I don't get it at all. Yeah.
But even Peppermint's reaction to me wasn't that big or I didn't have a huge response to it. To me, I just look at Peppermint as somebody who has big facial reactions. But they don't necessarily...
I felt like Tricelle doesn't speak queer is what the problem was, you know?
I was going to say something along those lines. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like Peppermint is having a very like in the queer community mild reaction, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's kind of how I would have interpreted it. Yeah, like I wouldn't have been like that's a huge reaction from someone like Peppermint necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a weird conversation. Peppermint's going to go on to kind of stick her foot in the mouth with certain things that she says, but
yeah.
I felt bad for Peppermint in this moment cuz this is going to turn into a whole thing. And I was just like, why is this a thing that's happening?
It's the dumbest source of a thing.
And unfortunately, she makes some mistakes that kind of snowball it out of control. And I do think I can't blame the cast for banishing her at the point at which she gets banished. But the starting point.
I do wish she stuck around.
Yeah, I was sad to see Peppermint go. Yeah, and the starting point of the talking about Peppermint was just so weird. But all right, we're basically at the end of episode 1 right now, right? We're going to go to the murder recruitment.
Oh, yeah. They have to do a little ceremony with Alan where they take do you like that? Oath. It is so dramatic. They're like vows they have to take.
Yeah.
And they are really committed to the bit here. They give them cloaks that they have to walk in together to meet each other for the first time. And then they dramatically reveal it's silly and a fun time. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, they both do a quality evil laugh when they reveal themselves to each other too. It's so good.
Jokes aside though, it is really important for the Traitors to perform for the TV show. And not just acting like a traitor theatrically. What I mean is they can't tell if they go around being yeah, I'm a traitor and this person's a traitor too, it breaks the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
They could totally break the concept of the show if they don't keep their secret well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've never seen... I assume there's rules against you can definitely imply that another traitor is a traitor.
Oh yeah, you could definitely vote for other traitors to be removed. I think after they pick Parvati as their third, Dan implies a couple times that oh yeah, she's good to have around, but also if I gotta give her up and get her kicked out instead of us, whatever, that's fine, you know?
Yeah. And that's definitely part of season 1 and probably every season of the Traitors. Because again, the less traitors there are at the end, the more money that the traitor that survives wins. That's a very yeah. Even the traitors are kind of incentivized to keep banishing, you know?
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, we start episode 2 with the recruitment. And I really thought this was going to be Janelle.
Okay.
I don't know what Dan and Janelle's relationship is as Big Brother players. But if I was they have to recruit somebody and then murder somebody. If I was the traitors here, the two people I would have thought that everybody should think is a faithful are Janelle and Larsa, because they were they had huge accusations immediately, you know?
Right, yeah.
If everybody thinks the way that I think, they should think that they're faithful.
But do you not also have to consider their ability to be sneaky and strategize?
Yeah, but I thought Janelle... So the reason I would have recruited Janelle is because she had a shield. So she couldn't be murdered, right?
Okay.
And then I thought Janelle would be qualified enough to be good. But if Dan thinks Janelle might have some incentive to betray her, honestly, the traitors betray each other more than they do the actual faithful in the game. The scariest thing is that a traitor actually decides to try to start putting your name out there. So maybe that's why he was a little worried about bringing in Janelle.
Okay.
But I thought the strategy would be bring in Janelle as a traitor and then murder Larsa, because Larsa also has her boyfriend in the game, which is
oh yeah,
seems
I
a
feel
little unfair.
any pairs you have to just eliminate half of.
Yeah, honestly, I would have killed Larsa and then killed Marcus second, because nobody would have thought Marcus was if you kill Larsa, nobody would have thought Marcus was a traitor anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Unless they're that high level. Like honestly, I was thinking, like, so this came up in the podcast that I listened to. Like, there was a husband and wife playing on the podcast version that I listened to, and early on in the game, the husband got murdered, and it was like kind of partially the husband's idea to do the podcast. You know, so he was very excited to participate as a contestant on the podcast. Like, I think the wife like jokingly said like, "Oh, I would totally murder him if I was the traitor," or something early on. But then she totally like later when she was in trouble, she was like, "You really think I would have like
of course
taken that away from my husband playing the rest of the game?" Or like killed him that early. Like, I would have killed him in the end, but not that early. And I really think that is like as much as like if your spouse was in the game with you, and how much it would hide the fact that you were the traitor if you killed them first. Like, yeah, I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it?
Like, if you and I were on this season together and you were the traitor and you murdered me as like the first,
would you ever forgive
me?
Like,
I would definitely feel some kind of way about that. Knowing how you know how much I would have wanted to play. Yeah, you know?
But wouldn't you a little bit be proud of me though? A little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if
it would be.
I don't think it would. I don't think it would balance out my disappointment. I'll say that.
All right.
So yeah, when Marcus gets killed later, like I don't think they had another chance to murder yet. I don't know. I just feel like you killed him back to back early.
Okay.
That would be my strategy. So I was surprised this wasn't Janelle. They end up choosing Parvati. I was very excited that they chose Parvati because I mean, I'm definitely Team Survivor on this show. I'm rooting for the Survivor people. So it's more fun when one of them is a traitor.
It's a traitor.
Yeah. A Survivor was also selected to be a traitor in season 1. So yeah, I'm excited. I do think you're right though. I think Dan's logic, I think at the time he was thinking, well, Parvati's already getting heat. Plus, if people watch season 1, like a Survivor player was also a traitor. So like he thinks he can easily put the target on Parvati later if he has to, I think is kind of the logic. Whereas Janelle, maybe it would be weird for him to start pushing Janelle, or he wouldn't want to do that to Janelle or something. Like, it felt like Janelle was the better choice if like there were no personal connections, but there was some reason he didn't choose Janelle. They talked about her, right? I think they mentioned her, but they didn't choose her.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go. Parvati, Survivor legend. We have our 3 traitors. What's really interesting though is that for an entire day, she doesn't know. Yeah, she knows she's a traitor, but she doesn't know who recruited her to be a traitor.
Yeah, because they like send a letter off. She doesn't get to be included in the first murder, and she's got to wait till the second murder to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I would take being the recruited traitor, but I would have definitely wanted to be part of the first murder too. But,
yeah,
I'll take it. Yeah, what's your murder strategy, Sarah? I know you don't want to be a traitor, but what would be the murder strategy? Is so interesting in terms of how I think there's so many different ways to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to get rid of people who could figure you out. If like there's somebody that knows you real well, like I feel like if I was a traitor, I would have to get rid of you because you would be able to tell that something was off with me. Like I would just have to.
So you want to get rid of people that you think would be able to tell that you're a traitor. That's be like your first instinct. Okay.
And then like, I don't know, the whole thing's just whittling people down. I think you'd want to leave people in who other people are like sus of, so that way they can take the heat during the banishment times. So yeah, just anybody you think could figure you out or just looks a little too innocent, goodbye. Okay. And also breaking up couples of people who are, pairs of people who came in and know each other.
Yeah. And I don't really care about like Parvati and Sandra or like Dan and Janelle. It's just like the 2 people are dating. Like that's a different kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what Dan's strategy is going to be. Phaedra is great as a traitor. She's great TV as a traitor. She does let Dan kind of decide these things, which I don't think is necessarily bad. Like, Dan, in some way, by him making the decision, is like more likely to like leave a
keep
trail
her around.
Like, no, it's like more likely to like leave a trail that goes back to Dan than it does her, because she's not the one actually making the decisions, unless like Dan is so good that he can murder people that people will suspect Phaedra, you know. But it'd be kind of like, and without really knowing, I imagine that Dan and Phaedra don't have a relationship with each other at all.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily bad to just let the other traitors kind of bury themselves a little bit by making decisions and leaving the door open for people to like make logic. But so Dan takes the approach of like he's gonna murder Bananas because he thinks Bananas might be good at figuring him out.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see if that was the case, because like Bananas is really good on a challenge overall, because the challenge is like much more about the challenges than it is a social game.
Right.
I wanted to see Bananas and how he stacked up.
If he has the social game, yeah.
Yeah. But what's weird is like, if that's his strategy, like if you're gonna kill somebody because you think they're gonna be good at figuring you out, you're like kind of like leaving a clue that like you at least know how good Johnny Bananas is, right? So that like you're kind of showing that like somebody like Kevin, I think, was shown, and somebody was like had to explain to Kevin who Johnny Bananas was, because he was like, oh, he's been on the challenge, and he was like, what challenge? He was like, no, it's like the show is called The Challenge, and he was like, say that again, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like Kevin had no idea what a Johnny Bananas was. He's not a fan
of these shows. He doesn't know. Yeah, okay.
So if anybody else is thinking like you, or like, oh, I'd get rid of somebody that I think would be threatening to figuring me out, no one's gonna think, oh no, you're like you're leaving clues that other people might be faithfuls, basically, potentially.
Yeah. Okay.
My strategy would be, if I was a faithful, who would I think the faithfuls were, and then I would kill those faithfuls. You know what I mean? It's like I'd be killing Larsa here, because I think she's kind of shown everybody that she's a faithful already.
Right. But can you, like, do you think everybody else would be applying the same logic you were in deciding she was a faithful?
Yeah. Not necessarily, right? But also, I mean, they're going to recruit Parvati, but it kind of puts heat on Parvati because she was accused of being a traitor, and then Larsa was like the first person that got killed. Now, you can play a whole double, triple reverse
where
logic,
like, oh, that's such a dumb move. She would never do that if she actually was the traitor. Yeah.
Now, on the podcast version I listened to, one of the traitors in the first or second, it was either like the first or second murder, decided to go with this like, let's murder the person that has accused me of being a traitor, because nobody will think that I'm a traitor. Because there's no way a traitor murders the person that accuses them of being a traitor.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, like, I put together from the people that have watched multiple country versions of this show that strategy is not a very good strategy from the traitor's perspective. Like, more often than not, people just like only think one layer deep and be like, oh, you murdered them because they accused you. Like, you're definitely the so
then you got to take advantage when somebody accuses the wrong person and then just vote them out, so then everybody goes back to that wrong person again.
Yeah, but it's two reasons. Like, Larsa's probably a faithful, should be a faithful to most people, because why the hell would she be so aggressive as a traitor? And then also it puts heat on Parvati. Now, it would have been interesting if they recruited Parvati to be a traitor and also killed Larsa, and then that would have really sucked for Parvati, because it's like, well, it's like, well, I'm not the traitor, but you really made me look like one at the time. But then you don't necessarily want to do that either, because now Parvati knows that they're the traitors, and then she can try and get revenge against the traitors. Is a delicate game of like we're on the same team, but also we're not on the same team.
Right.
And it's just, at what point do I decide to throw your fellow traitors under the bus, basically? And you have to do it in a way where like they won't have time to throw you under the bus. You know what I mean? I am curious, like, what the traitors are allowed to say or not say about each other. Like if you and I are traitors, and I start like talking about you at the round table ceremony for banishment, and then like you haven't said anything about me all day, and then you all of a sudden like accuse me of being, I don't know if you're like, I guess you could.
Yeah, I feel like you can't put that restriction on them.
I guess you,
because that's gonna like be a tell.
Yeah.
Like if people can't like reverse it back on, well, clearly you're the, like you just have to be able to act like a faithful and accuse anybody.
Yeah, I guess if you reverse accuse me of being a traitor, that's actually like a very normal thing for a faithful to do.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really mean much. Yeah, I guess there's probably no restrictions.
I mean, you probably can't say, I know he's a traitor because I'm also a traitor. Like you can't be like,
there's no way you're allowed to say
level.
That you're a traitor. I think that has
or that you like 100% know for reasons you cannot disclose, or anything like. But like normal accusing,
yeah, you can use
normal has to words. Be on the table.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you think? So we get the murder. Oh, we already know it's Johnny Bananas. But what did you think of the breakfast ceremony that's gonna happen?
It's like, I love the dramatic part at the end where Alan comes in and is like, Bananas is dead. Like that part's great, but it's kind of ruined by like people coming in groups to the breakfast table. And then by the time everyone's there, they realize who's not there. So, because like, it's not like it gets announced who's murdered and then they must leave. It's, you never see that person again because they died in the night, right? So
wait, what do you want it to be? You want it to be like everybody comes down to breakfast and then the person that was murdered gets like catapulted across the grounds or something? Like...
I just feel like the dramatic Alan announcement loses some of its strength when you've already figured out that Bananas is dead.
I mean, Alan's announcement is not supposed to be the dramatic moment. It's just like,
I know, but he makes every moment.
You want him
big. I love it.
You want him to announce it. He just gets the funny one-liner. What do you say about Bananas? He's like, breakfast is served and there's one thing we won't be having. Bananas.
And then he just like takes his portrait off the wall and throws it across the room.
Well, that's the classic. He just takes out the ground and casually throws it on the ground. And then it gets hung back up later, but with an X on it.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah. Okay, so what's interesting about breakfast though, and this came up on the podcast I listened to, where like one of the players that was watching the Traitor season and was familiar with it really wanted to know, as a faithful, how the Traitors on like the Zoom version of the show they were doing were like.
Mm-hmm.
In the show that we're watching, we don't know at breakfast who has been murdered. So it's not being revealed to us until all the people get to breakfast and then one person's missing. Mm-hmm. But on the podcast, we got to watch the Traitor ceremony, and the Traitor was announced to the audience prior to the quote unquote breakfast. So so the difference in it though is that like whoever the Traitors were considering for banishment are often like the last 3 or 4 people that enter breakfast. Because it makes it more dramatic for the TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So there is some deduction that can be done around like, okay, not only was this person murdered, but these were the last 2 or 3 people that didn't get murdered but came to breakfast like last.
Yeah.
And what kind of person would have been considering those 3 people?
Yeah. Although I think in at least one of, I think maybe it was the last one, or maybe one of them, like I feel like Parvati was in that last group.
Yes. So they do that too.
And so they did like make it a little weird. It's
not a perfect system in terms of thinking about it as a faithful, but it's like some bit of information to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't bother writing down, but like, you know, it's just something to think about. Like why would.
Yeah. I hadn't considered that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Like one of them was like, it was like Deontay, Parvati.
It was between Deontay, Marcus, and someone else.
Janelle or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And Janelle and Deontay came in with Parvati. I think.
Parvati at the end. Yeah. So yeah, it's worth I think it is worth thinking about, but yeah, it's not, you can't go 100% into it because one of the people you're considering could just be the murderer themselves.
Yeah. Or some random other person that wasn't considered, but yeah.
All right, and the Tricelle Peppermint thing is going to continue.
Oh yeah,
this is nuts.
Talk about it at breakfast, and now everybody knows. And it's like Tricelle brings it up like on purpose in this setting to percolate this information. Like later she's going to say, "Oh, but I only told 2 people, and then 2 people told more people," and like oh, I didn't mean for it to get this big, but no, like she makes a choice in this public setting. She knows what she's doing.
I think part of it is that like they cast big personalities on this show, and a lot of these people are people that like they want to be the person that like finds the traitor, and they want to be the person that figured it out. So some people get really hung up on like they notice one thing that rubbed them like the wrong way, and now they're just hyper focused on this one thing.
Yep.
And I think it's just because they really want to be the person that like nails the traitor and gets like that moment.
And they have literally nothing else to go on.
Yeah. So, what I don't know what you like as a faithful, where it gets interesting is like, say you have a read on somebody and you're confident about your read. Like, do you bring it up to the entire house like Trishelle does, or do you try to like? I feel like you have to go to the people that you've identified as other faithfuls and just kind of only communicate with them. Like, I would have gone to Janelle and Larsa in like the first day and been like, I think you're both faithfuls. Like, whatever you guys are thinking, I'm voting with you guys. You know, kind of the
yeah.
And then if I notice something, like I would only tell them. Like, knowing that there are multiple traitors in the room, like talking to the entire house about who you think a traitor is, like I don't think it's very productive. Unless you're doing it, unless you're doing it purposefully as like a fake out, which is going to come out up later between Peter and Kevin.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. Like Trishelle really thinks, based on this one facial expression that Peppermint made, that she's a traitor, which is like crazy. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Dan and Phaedra never tell Parvati that they recruited her. Dan even has multiple conversations with Parvati throughout the day that are like
just one-on-one.
Both of them are traitors, and they're both still pretending to be faithful to each other.
And they're both like, I just know you are faithful. Like, we can team up and get to the end on this.
It's kind of unnecessary from Dan's standpoint, but I guess it's like fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if I was Dan, I probably just like wouldn't even bother to talk to Parvati all day long. It's like, well, I'll see you at the turret when we murder somebody. What about the second challenge though with the scarecrows? What do you think of this one?
Well, okay. So, there was actually some interesting information here that you would use as the traitor, because like I guess they had given them a questionnaire earlier, and they had to answer questions like, of everybody here, whose opinion do you value the most? Who's the most popular? And like who needs to speak up more. And they basically have two options every time they have to answer one of these questions. And it's a whole complicated thing where they have to carry a whole freaking scarecrow to unlock a box or whatever bullshit. But like it gives you a good idea of who like is potentially influential in the group, which gives you a target or not as a traitor.
Yeah. So yeah, the first question was they're basically in like teams of 3. They have to run along these paths and answer the questions properly answer the question properly based on the most popular answer to the question by the players in their. So the first scarecrow question is, whose opinion do you value most? I didn't even write down who the other option was for that one.
It was Larsa or Marcus.
Larsa or Marcus. Oh, so it's it's a couple.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Everybody gets it right.
And so everybody picks Marcus, and yeah, that's right.
But this becomes like a target for the traitors for some reason, where they're like, well, if everybody trusts him, then we should murder him. I don't know if that really makes sense. It made sense from Dan's perspective, because Marcus was like a little bit suspicious of Dan.
Yeah, it really depends on if you think the influential person will ever have a good read on who is actually the traitor or not. Or if you can get in with them and then like feed them some like info and be like, oh, I think it's this person, and then like sort of manipulate it that way.
If they trust you, if you can manipulate the person that can manipulate everybody else.
Yeah. And then you get to not be super visible as the person who brings up somebody to vote out, but you still have that level of control over it.
Yeah, they're going to end up murdering Marcus. I don't think it's necessarily just because of this question. But this question,
it's also because he's there in a couple. And,
there's a lot of reasons to get rid of Marcus. Yeah, the person's very influential, like Deontay is in the second banishment ceremony. You're not murdering Deontay because not doing a good job.
Yeah.
All right. The second question, this one blew me away. I learned a lot about Peppermint here. Who's the most popular player?
And the options were Deontay or Peppermint. And everybody was like, obviously it's Deontay. Except for in Peppermint's team, they were like, oh, maybe it's Deontay. You know, they were trying to be polite about it. But Peppermint's like, are you fucking kidding me? Obviously it's me.
I don't know if Peppermint was sure it was her, but she's the kind of person that's not going to say it's not her.
Well, that's true.
But she had a great line where she's like, so her team, everybody else just takes Deontay. Mm-hmm. But her team actually takes Peppermint's scarecrow and starts walking with it. But then a couple people are like, you know what? I really think it's Deontay. And then she's like, so we go back and throw me on the ground. Throw my ass on the ground so we can pick up Deontay's scarecrow. And then everybody gets it wrong because it's actually Peppermint who people think is the most popular player. I was blown away by that.
And it's weird because it's like all the people, like theoretically, most of these people voted for Peppermint, and yet they still think it's Deontay. Or maybe it was so like very close and evenly split between like all the people in the group. Like, because I imagine they all just got to vote for whoever when they took this questionnaire, and then they just took the top two as the potential answers here.
Yeah.
And so maybe it was split so evenly that that's why people were confused about it. Because otherwise, it's everybody already voted for Peppermint and then went, it's definitely not Peppermint, which seems dumb.
Yeah, it seemed like the dynamic was like mostly the women probably voted for Peppermint and the guys voted for Deontay on the quiz. But I think there's an even amount at this point because they killed Bananas. Actually, I don't know. Well, I don't know what the starting was. Was it? It could be that there's like 11 women and 9 guys, and Peppermint won like 11-9. But in Peppermint's group, there might have been like more women, but the men there were. The men were very adamant that it's Deontay. Yeah, I don't know what I would have done if Peppermint was in my group, but if Peppermint was not in my group, I would have definitely thought it was Deontay. If Peppermint was in my group, I'd be like, Peppermint, you tell me if you're more popular than Deontay. I believe you, Peppermint, no matter what you say. But yeah, Peppermint's more famous than Deontay Wilder.
Well, popular amongst this group.
I guess that's true. It is a small sample size.
Or it might even be like who these people perceive to be more popular, which you think would line up with everybody chose Deontay here. I don't know. It's weird to think about without the actual data.
Yeah, popular also doesn't necessarily equate to famous. Like Peppermint could be more popular because like she's incredibly likable.
Yeah.
And she's a big like TV personality.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Wilder is like a big name like around the world in terms of any country that pays attention to boxing, basically. So
right, but like how frequently do like boxing matches happen? Like, right, like maybe the like frequency with which he is this big name does not overpower a more consistent Peppermint on TV situation. You know, like that might have something to do with it too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just assume Deontay like is huge famous because like I don't give a shit about boxing, and I bothered to check out Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Like, it's like, oh, like, well, they've hyped this up enough that it seems like it's a big deal. I'll go watch it. But yeah, unfortunately, I've never stumbled across Peppermint before until this TV show, but I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Peppermint more than Deontay Wilder. I like them both, actually. I like them both, but I
do like them both on this show.
Really disappointed that we're going to lose Peppermint here. All right, who needs to speak up more?
Oh, yeah, this was between Dan or Shree, and everybody picks Dan. So, like, Dan has said a couple times now that his strategy is to just fly under the radar. And this is sort of a beginning of maybe that's not working for him, because for the second voting out, people are starting to be real suspicious about him not saying anything.
Yeah. And this is the early indicator that this cast is just better at this game than the cast was in season 1.
This is also an indicator that I could not make it on this show because I would be too quiet and people would vote me out.
Well, you just have to go on Big Brother and win that, and then you'll have the rep to get on this show.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. What's weird to me is like I haven't watched Dan, but it seems like the players like he's playing with Janelle, right? And Janelle has played with him before. So if Dan was behaving strangely compared to how like he acted on Big Brother, I feel like Janelle would be able to speak to that.
Yeah.
So Dan's defense for his not speaking up is going to be like, oh, it's his like personality, like it takes him a while to warm up to people.
Right.
And maybe that's just how he is.
And I don't think that we see her talking to it at all. Like, she does not come to his defense or accuse him.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like Dan and Janelle have like some sort of agreement going on that isn't like part of the show. I'm not sure. But yeah, the fact that people are recognizing that Dan's not talking, and they're recognizing that if they were a traitor, they would probably want to be doing what Dan is doing, basically.
Yeah.
So people are thinking along the right lines here. Yeah, I like to see it. It's an early action compared to season 1 in terms of picking up on clues here.
But also what we get is, and I don't know who it was. It's one of the blonde women. It starts to really hone in on politician guy John.
Oh, this is Tamara.
Because of the breathing. Okay. And like, as they're running, because they have to run this whole course, she's like, oh no, I can't breathe. Can I have your inhaler? Don't you have an inhaler? And he's like, I don't have an inhaler. And she's like, that bitch is a traitor. And I'm like, that's not how inhalers work, I don't think. I don't think you just snag one from someone else. And
you could.
Also, I don't think that everybody who's ever had breathing problems like has an inhaler on them at all times. And she just takes this like logic of like, give me your prescription medication that I know that you need to have if you haven't been lying to us. And it is wild to me.
Yeah. They're just determined. They're so determined to like find a traitor that they're willing to take these big jumps of conclusion, basically. It's like, it is like a sneaky way to try to catch him in a lie. But again, like, he's going to say when he's asked about it again, like, I feel like he said it the first time, like he said like, oh, I had asthma as a child. I don't know why he even said that. I again, like, he was accused of breathing strangely. I don't know what I would have done if somebody accused me of breathing strangely. Like, as soon as they took their thing off. Yeah. John chose to say something about having asthma as a kid as an excuse. It does seem like a dumb excuse to use in the moment, but also like, what would you say if you got accused of breathing weirdly?
I'd be like, I don't know, my lungs are weird.
Would you go around for the rest of the game and purposefully like breathing loudly so that people know that it's like a normal thing that you do?
No, because then I feel like it would end up sounding fake or whatever. I just feel like I would just be a little like this is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard. That I was breathing a little louder. Sorry, I got a little excited about the exciting thing that was happening. My bad. And make them just feel ridiculous about it and then never speak about it again.
Yeah. I mean, I would try to just be like, this is not a reason to banish anybody. Like, let's talk about actual actions and information that we can go off of.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, would not be me accusing anybody of being a traitor, but it would be like, I would be willing to say publicly, like, I think Janelle is a faithful. I think Larsa is a faithful.
Yeah.
That would be my route. It's probably good if you have like, it's probably good to share your list of faithfuls once you have like a longer list of faithfuls. Because if you only have like 2 people, they might just think, well, you could be the traitor and you're saying that the other traitors are faithful. You think like the other traitors are faithful.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I feel bad for Peppermint. I don't really care about John as much, but
it's just so dumb, the whole thing.
If Peppermint got accused of breathing heavily at the thing, I would have felt bad for her for that. So, yeah, I guess I should feel bad for John here too.
But like, also people are inherently distrustful of him because he's a politician. And I'm like, but half of you people are from reality shows where you like have to lie and manipulate people, and therefore we should all be suspicious of you too. Like, similar thing.
It's also like, I have to imagine that like nobody's really vibing with John in general.
Oh yeah. I would not think he'd fit in with
they're not hanging out with him and having a good time in the castle necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
So might as well vote him out.
They're not going to be too upset if they vote him out and he's a faithful.
Yeah, like, does Deontay cry if they vote out John? I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah, maybe Deontay would. He's a sensitive guy. All right, so the end of this was like, I mean, this isn't really Fear Factor, but it like gets the vibe of the show. Like, they just the end of the course is them get to a a field of creepy scarecrows.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like ones that you can dig in to look for shields, and then other ones are gold, and they're just like ripping, like there's no indication of how deep this might be hidden in. So like people are just ripping these scarecrows apart.
Well, what's weird is like when they found the gold, it felt like they just like ripped the vest off the scarecrow, and then like the gold was just like embedded into the like potato sack.
Hay or whatever.
Yeah. Not even in the hay, it was just like embedded into like a pocket in the potato sack. But like when there wasn't one, they were like ripping
so they're ripping it all apart.
Open. Yeah. Do you like the post production on this show? Like the first time they showed the field of scarecrows, they show like all these crows like flying all over the place. But when you really look, it's like those are definitely not real crows.
Yeah, the crows were not present at the time of filming.
At first, I was a little mind blown. I was like, "Damn, they got all these crows to fly around." Like right for a shot. And I was like, "Oh wait, if I look like these crows are like disappearing behind nothing in the background." And then Dan at least here is motivated enough to go for a shield. He didn't go for a shield in the first game, but because the answer to the question, he does go for a shield and he gets one. Janelle goes for a shield. Multiple people go for shields. Some, for whatever reason, time ran out and nobody else found. I think there were 3 shields.
Yeah, I think there's always been 3 shields.
Somehow Dan was the only one that found one. I'm assuming the shields are going to go down in number as the show goes on.
As there are less people, that makes sense.
Yeah. When the shields were introduced in season 1, in like the middle of the season, it was only 1, and they would like split them up into teams. And then like the team that won would only get like a chance of getting the shield.
Okay.
So like say they had like 3 teams of 3. The team of 3 that won would like one by one enter a room and like open a box to see if they got the shield or not, basically. Like you basically got a 1 in 3 chance of getting the shield.
Interesting. Okay.
Unless a traitor got the shield, the traitors wouldn't know who from that team got the shield. So it would kind of protect the entire team because the traitors like wouldn't want a chance murdering somebody that it wouldn't work on.
So it's not like they were informed of who had it when they were murdering. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And if they did murder them, it would just like cancel the murder for the night. And they didn't want that to happen. So like, even though only one person had the shield, it kind of protected the whole team anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Have we done a banishment yet? No, we haven't. We're about to go to our first banishment.
Yes.
We've already kind of talked about it. It's going to be Peppermint.
Yep.
Peppermint is going to have another moment where she like misspeaks when she's trying to like talk out the logic of like.
Yeah, she's like, she tries to say like, we definitely don't want to vote out a faithful person. But she says, we definitely don't want to vote out a traitor. I mean, a faith, like, and so everybody's like, girl, you just fucked up. Now we know you're a traitor. And she's like, I just misspoke, okay? It is very easy. And she's right. It's totally easy to like, plus like calling people unfaithful is like a weird word to say. Like it does not naturally roll off the tongue the same way like saying someone is a traitor does. So like, I get it.
Yeah.
But it was not a helpful look for her this day.
It's like bad enough that if I was a faithful, Peppermint would not have given me an indication that she was a faithful. And then the fact that enough people wanted to vote her out, like I'm not gonna put my neck out for Peppermint here.
Yeah,
because I don't have any indication that she is a faithful, and like if she did actually like misspeak here. And like you let her slide through afterwards, you're gonna feel like really dumb later.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. Like if you really break down what she said, like it really like wouldn't make sense for her to say that as a traitor, because like she says like, what did she say again? You just said it. It was like
we definitely don't want to vote out a traitor.
Yeah. But as if like that's something you would say when you were talking to your traitor allies. But also if you were talking to traitor allies, what you don't even have the option to murder a traitor unless she was like talking to one of the traitors about banishing like the third traitor.
Yeah
And then she misspoke here and there. It's like I wouldn't be confident enough that she wasn't a traitor to defend her here. So she's gonna get 17 votes out of the 20. That's so many.
That is a lot. And like even at the end of the day, like my new strategy for this is just vote people out and survive till the end anyway. So like, unless I had a bond with Peppermint where I thought, we would keep each other safe. Yeah. Then like, whatever, it's just somebody else who's leaving who's not me. Sure, great.
Yeah.
But there is a like interesting moment during this whole thing where like Peppermint's like trying to defend herself and says that, the Traitors are just going to go along with this because they're happy that anybody else's name is out there. And like pretty much, at least the way it's edited, immediately after that, Parvati is like pipes up sort of semi in defense of Peppermint. It's like she hears the words of like, oh yeah, a traitor would totally go along with this. So she's like, you're right, I should act like I'm not a traitor and like maybe defend her, and that'll be a way to cover myself later.
That is something that came up on the podcast that I listened to where people were talking about, okay, the people that voted it with the majority to like vote out to do the first banishment are like more likely to be traitors.
Yeah.
Because if you were a traitor, you would most likely just think, I should vote with the group in order to
and also this is not a traitor, so it's good for me. So yeah.
Yeah. But then there's a counter strategy to that where like if you are a traitor and you can tell that like you're not getting banished, just like throw a vote on somebody else, on some random person, and just like say, I don't think it's the person that the majority is voting for, like, and give some reason.
Yeah. Which is basically what Parvati does in the next elimination.
Yes, yeah. And she gives like a very dumb reason, but hopefully something that won't cause too much of a conflict between her and the person she votes for.
Well, what felt weird about it to me was that she did not pipe up. Like, and if I were, a faithful on this at that point, if she thought somebody was a traitor for a reason but never said anything about it and then just voted for them, I'd be like, well, that was pointless. Why wouldn't you bring it up for discussion if you actually thought this?
That's a very good point.
And she also does another sneaky thing where she, like, everybody's like talking about Dan a lot. And so she writes a D on her little, like,
you noticed that
chalk thing. She crosses the D out, doesn't like wipe it away or erase it, and then writes Kevin's name to be like, look, I was thinking about voting for Dan, and if I was Dan, I would be like, okay, I see where this is going. You're ready to like throw me under the bus. I get it. I clocked this.
This show's so good. There's so much in play. When you notice details like that, I actually didn't notice that until my wife pointed it out.
And the show didn't like point it out at all. It was just they let it pass. I wonder if it'll come up later. It might come up. Them.
But yeah, she wrote it, like you said, she wrote a D, crossed it out, then wrote Kevin. We're not even at the right fucking banishment ceremony right now, but it's like I don't know. So many things. Like that one D with a cross through it has so many implications. Like Dan might know that she was thinking about voting her,
or is at least trying to signal that she was ready to vote for him, to be like, oh yeah, if they all get on thinking he's a traitor, I'm not associated with him. I was ready to vote for him.
Yeah, that's true. It's so good by Parvati there. Like the only downside is that Dan survives and then like holds it against her, I guess. But
yeah,
we're jumping ahead here. But yeah,
sorry,
so good.
It's too so relevant.
All right. Your strategy about this whole like treat the game like it's Survivor and just make an alliance to get to the end is intriguing.
Yeah.
It is something that came, or it wasn't explicitly talked about the way you're saying it, but like there were people that definitely felt like they knew who the traitors were and they weren't voting them out in the podcast version I was listening to. So I don't know if this has come up on other seasons of the show. I don't know if I'm doing it. If anything, I don't know. Like if anything, I feel like if you knew somebody was a traitor, like maybe try to convince them to recruit you, like assuming that it's going to come up eventually. But I don't know. You have to do it in a way where you like hold some sort of, you have to have some sort of leverage over them, right? Where like,
I would worry too much that they would be like, oh, you know who we are, gotta murder you.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would just want the moment of getting the traitor and then hope that through whatever process I can become a traitor later because I've knocked out traitors.
Yeah, I mean there is value in the potential of like the show wants to keep however many traitors in the show, so if you knock one out, they're gonna refill that spot and maybe it'll be you.
I don't know. I have to see it. I have to like see it play out more often. Yeah, because the person that you want to keep around, you can't let them know that you're onto them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so many interesting ways to play this show. That's why I like it.
I mean, maybe you go to them and you're like, you pull the Parvati with Dan earlier, where she didn't know he was a traitor, but she was like, "Oh yeah, I totally know you're a faithful. Like we should be in an alliance or whatever." And you just fake that you don't know that they're the traitor, and then they feel like they can use you to get what they want to happen in the banishment times, and then therefore you're useful to them and they won't murder you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So you act like, if you think you know who the traitor is, you go to the traitor, you act like they're a faithful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then never throw them under the bus publicly
until it's time to get rid of traitors.
Until it's like, yeah, the end game. And hopefully because you've like pledged your loyalty to them, they'll never murder you at night.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
You just can't let on that you know that they're a traitor.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks if they just murder you anyway.
Yeah, 100%, which is likely to happen.
It sucks if like you knew it was them and you had the ability to banish them and you didn't take it because you were like trying to metagame
play the long game. Yeah,
but also if you're trying to win the end of the game, it's like
go big or go home, right?
I would say it's not as good TV, but might be a better strategy is what you're proposing.
I mean, wait, do we get confessionals from people who are not traitors? I guess we don't, because it'd be great to talk about in a confessional.
Wait, of course.
To be like,
of course we do.
Wait, did we get confessionals?
Yeah, everybody confessionals.
I don't remember.
Everybody does.
Okay, well then there you go. You talk about it in confessional, and then it's better TV.
I guess you can talk about it in confessional.
You're like, I know it's them.
You're at the mercy. Yeah, you're kind of at the mercy of like the show leaving that narrative in. Yeah. Even if it doesn't pan out. Like if it did pan out, they're definitely gonna put it in. But if it doesn't pan out, they could just make it look like you didn't know what you're doing, and you got.
I guess, or they could be like, oh, this betrayal moment. And then, oh, you feel dumb for your... I don't know. There's a possibility they might leave it in, depending on how it plays out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, if that's what you're worried about. I mean, I guess you should always be worried about your edit on the show. But if I'm just trying to win, that's all I'm going to worry about.
Definitely good advice would be like, even if you think 100% you know who the traitor is, if you're not in trouble, you don't necessarily have to make a whole big deal. Like, you don't have to do what Tricelle does and was like, I discovered something and everybody needs to know about it.
Unless you're just trying to be on TV. Like, it does really depend on your goals. Which is also fair. Yeah.
I think it's worth trying to take the moment if you think you have it, but also not a good look if you're wrong. So you better be right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the moment if I was wrong.
Yeah, you don't want to make Deontay cry again. Like, it's not.
Deontay's gonna make himself cry. Deontay makes himself cry.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, so after they get rid of Peppermint, he's real unhappy about it.
Do you like how they announced their like,
oh yeah. This voting is public, one at a time. You have to like be like, I voted for this person for this reason.
Well, yeah, I believe the votes get locked in, so like nobody's changing their votes as you go around the table.
But you like have to take accountability for your vote to a certain extent. Like,
yeah, everybody like
there's no way to pretend that you didn't vote for whoever, right?
Yeah. What I was talking about, do you like how they reveal, like, so the person that gets banished reveals their identity?
Yeah, they go to the circle of truth or whatever, and I was like, I was like, this reveal is so stretched out. Like, we already don't know the answer. Like, we're watching this. I know she's not a traitor. Like, it did not need to be this dramatic. But I guess for the people in the room, it did. And it was pretty good.
Well, the drama is like the anticipation of watching their faces when Peppermint announces that she's a faithful.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're just teasing that moment a little bit longer. Some people like Peppermint took a while to say.
Oh yeah.
Some people like to milk it or even do fake outs at the very end, you know.
Yeah. Have a little drama to it. It's fun.
I think I love it when they get it wrong and they all have to be like, damn it. Like people they get mad. Like they get upset. Like people think they get it and they don't, and then they get like, all right, now I'm pissed. I think that's what Janelle said at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan is still getting some heat.
Yeah, I think at this point is when like Marcus is talking to people about being like thinking quiet people are kind of sus, and that Dan was real quiet.
This is a move I don't get that people do a lot on this show. Is like, here's a thing that indicates to me that somebody is a traitor. Like, let me go talk to the person that I think they're a traitor for this reason and tell them that I think they're a traitor.
Yeah.
I don't really get that.
Yeah, that was...
Like, go to the other people that you think might be faithfuls and be like, hey, if I was a traitor, I wouldn't be talking very much. And Dan's not talking very much.
Unless he, like, legitimately does not believe that Dan is a traitor. And he's like, you are acting suspicious. Tone it down, my dude. I'm just looking out for you.
It could be that, yeah.
But you, like, really have no reason to not think anyone's a traitor, so that's the silly move.
Like, if he's not talking, what evidence do you have that he's a faithful?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably none. So you're just going off of, like, oh, I like the vibes of this guy, so...
Yeah, which is so much of what this is.
That is a big mistake.
At the beginning.
It's a big mistake if you're going off of people that you like.
Yep.
All right. I think we're about the end of episode 2. Yeah, Deontay is having a moment about something in his past where he was accused of something and it wasn't true.
Yeah, just couldn't get people to listen to him, and like really relates to how Peppermint couldn't get anybody to listen to her.
Did he came to Peppermint's defense a little bit, right? Didn't he? He didn't think Peppermint
I think so, yeah.
There was another person who came to her
Max
defense. Matt
was
did?
like,
I have the votes here. What were the votes?
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
MJ voted for John. Max voted for John. And then Peppermint voted for Trishelle. So she voted for the person that snowballed her against her. That's fair.
Right. So then Deontay voted for Peppermint?
Deontay did vote for Peppermint. Maybe that's why you partly felt about it. I think like Cherie may have also fell into that category where she didn't want to vote for Peppermint.
She defended her a little bit, but
was.
Voted for her. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, episode 3. Let's bring it home.
Okay, we get Parvati finds out, gets inducted into Murder Town.
That's a fun moment.
Big shock.
When the traitors get to find out who the other traitors are, that's a very fun moment. Like when they find out in episode 1 after because Phaedra and Dan didn't know until like the end of the day of day 1. And then Parvati didn't know. And then if they recruit somebody later this season and then that person gets to finally find out who the traitors are and they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And Parvati seems to like legitimately have not thought that either of these two were traitors.
Yeah. Especially Phaedra. Phaedra is just nobody suspects Phaedra at all.
Which is like, I don't know if like during like roundtable time discussion, like they're just not showing her talking, but like you don't see her talking the same way we don't see Dan talking and like bringing up accusing people. But like, I guess she like out in the when they're roaming in the house or whatever, talks enough like as a person that she is not grouped in with this suspectedness of not talking a lot or not bringing up somebody who might be a traitor in the like roundtable discussions.
Yeah. I think Phaedra is like talking enough. Also, I think it helps. I feel like Phaedra just gets along with more people.
She is a great personality for just getting along with folks.
People aren't as motivated to think you're a traitor if they like you.
Yeah.
Right, basically.
Absolutely.
Also,
she seems very likable.
Phaedra is very good at like somebody says something in a moment and then she says something that a faithful would say in response to that. Like there's when they murder Marcus later and Larsa's like, but Larsa hasn't found out yet and she's like, I'm just gonna save a seat at breakfast just in case Larson comes. And she's like, of course he's coming, don't be so negative. And it's like she literally just murdered him last night.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's like, so Phaedra's not really like taking the reins as the traitor, which again I think isn't necessarily bad, but she's really she's killing it in terms of how she acts around other people as a traitor, and she's killing it like thematically, like she's giving very good confessionals.
Absolutely.
Like pretending to be like an evil person, even though it's like it's just a role in a TV show.
Yeah, she's great.
And what's the other thing? The other thing is like the only thing that's going on with Phaedra that if you were really good, maybe you could pick up on, but you might have to kind of know how Phaedra is like, I feel like Phaedra has never looked worried. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Now she does do like the moments that you have to put your game face on as a traitor is like when who was murdered gets revealed, like the last group of people comes into breakfast. And then like when the person announces that they're a faithful after they banish the wrong person, like you have to like, you have to like put your game face on. And then she does it there, but there's like moments where everybody else is like kind of in their heads thinking, and she's like humming to herself while like going up to bed, or like it's these like little things where like you would think if you were really invested in the game,
stressed.
you would be a little more on edge.
Yeah.
But I feel like because maybe it's because she's a Real Housewife, or I don't know what her background is. Like they might just think that she's not that invested in the game. Basically, is what it is.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, this like Phaedra doesn't. She's just she's just somebody that always has a good time.
Yeah.
She's not going to overthink these things. When the whole time she's just a traitor. Yeah. So I'm definitely rooting for Phaedra.
Yeah. I like her a lot. She's great.
All right. We're doing another murder here, right? Okay. We said Marcus is going to get murdered. Plenty of reasons to get rid of Marcus. I think somebody
and
was
a couple
there.
Suspective of Dan. Also, most people voted they would listen to him.
Yeah, somebody was there when Marcus confronted Dan about his quietness. It might have been Max. I'm not sure. But theoretically, like somebody could remember that moment and be like, Marcus kind of called you out, and then you like he got murdered the next day.
Then he murdered him. Yeah.
But it also helped. I think what helps Dan is that Marcus was like the answer to the question from the game.
Yeah. And that seems like a much bigger reason to pick.
Defense that he could say is like the traitors probably just murdered him because he was the answer to that question or something. Like, you know. Plus, his girlfriend's in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once they murdered Marcus, I thought Janelle was going to get murdered here. Because she didn't have a shield. So I'm a little. I maybe Dan just can't do that to Janelle. I'd be curious to see what the Janelle Dan relationship is. But we're not getting a lot of that. I feel like you have to murder Larsa after Marcus. Again, nobody's gonna think that Larsa killed Marcus. So.
And she does seem to be like on a like she's like I'm gonna get a traitor today. Like she's real pissed.
Yeah, I mean, if she's bad, I guess if she's like really off the mark, but she's like not going to be, right? So
yeah, exactly. But then that also makes it hard to like get rid of her.
It is interesting. Yeah, like the more she's right, the less maybe you want to kill her at that point.
It's harder to kill her.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So then you just got to recruit her if you get a chance, I guess.
Oh yeah, there you go. What's weird is now there's 3 traitors. I don't know like if it's like a democracy or if it has to be unanimous decision.
Ooh, I think it has to be. Well, yeah,
I kind of think it has to be unanimous who they murder, because like Phaedra is like friends with Sherry, and like Dan and with what comes up, like Dan and Parvati are gonna like think about killing her, but they were like, but she'll never agree to that,
right?
So I don't know. But also you don't want to necessarily like strong arm another traitor when they can just like betray you later. So it's even if it is a democracy, you're incentivized to not like strong arm,
not piss people off. Yeah.
All right, so Marcus goes here, and then there's a good moment where instead of taking the portrait of Marcus off the wall and throwing it on the ground, he like gave it. Alan like walks across the room and hands the photo, and he's like to Larsa, and he's like, here you go, something to remember him by. And then somebody says rest in peace.
And then like he immediately, and then
Alan's like,
well, that was a bummer, let's move on, or something.
That really killed the mood.
Yeah, that's what it was.
They really like all hardcore just acted like Marcus actually died in real life. There was like a 10-second period of time where everybody was all in on the on the murder. Acting like as a murder. Like even Larsa was like, yes, give me the photo, I need it. And then we're gonna get Deontay is gonna start feeling like Max is a traitor. Max has been very weird. Like he likes to do this move where he walks into a room and then looks to see who's in the room, and then if the person he's looking for isn't in the room, he like jokingly but awkwardly like reverse backwards while everybody looks at him.
Yeah.
Like he's just I think he's trying to be funny, but like it just looks weird to everybody.
Yeah, it's not gonna go well for him.
Marx is the one that like he's gonna tell everybody he thought the whole Trishelle and Peppermint thing was like a non-issue.
Oh yeah, he does like defend her during that vote too.
Yeah, he votes for John instead of Peppermint.
Right.
I think that is important to note because like Max is gonna get banished at the next banishment, right?
Right.
But why the hell would Max be defending Peppermint if he was a traitor?
Yeah. I mean,
like the people that were part of the conversation where Max defended Peppermint, and then you went ahead and voted Peppermint out anyway, and Peppermint was a faithful. That would be a huge indicator to me that Mark is probably a faithful. Because why would the traitor be like? If anything, like if 17 people are voting for Peppermint,
a non-traitor,
like you sticking your neck out for Peppermint is potentially going to make people think that you're protecting her or something.
Right.
Also, like I don't know, I feel like, I mean, if you're really thinking about it, like why are traitors protecting traitors at all? Like that's not really a thing. It's not really a thing that needs to happen. But I don't know. I feel like Max is almost like a confirmed faithful because Peppermint was a faithful.
Yeah.
But I don't think nobody's really friends with Max is basically what's gonna happen.
Yeah. And that's like so much of this is just like put the right vibes out, be enjoyable around people. You're gonna be a lot safer that way.
And Deontay's gonna be the person really pushing for Max. And it's based on this one conversation again where Deontay and like CT were talking and then Max was in the room and Deontay just asked Max like, hey, what are your thoughts about who the traitor might be? And Max like doesn't want to really throw out a name.
Because it seems like he's the kind of guy who's like, well, if I'm not sure, I'm not going to just throw out a random name. Like, I think he legitimately just doesn't have a beat on anyone, and so he doesn't want to stir up anything with somebody who's not.
Yeah. And I don't think Max is, like, good here. Like, I think he could explain himself better. Like, the way that you just explained it, he doesn't say that.
Right.
He doesn't say, like, well, I don't want to throw out a name. But also just, like, throw out a name. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, if it was me, I'd be like, I think you guys are faithfuls, I think, you know, and then list all the people you legitimately think are faithfuls and include the two people you're talking to in the list.
Yeah, of course.
And then you'd be like, well, and then so like I really don't know who the traitor is, but those are the people I wouldn't want to vote for. You know, like give Deontay something.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, well, I don't know. Like it is suspicious what Max is doing, but you can't. Yeah, like people's actions are always should be holding more weight than like the words, because like I'm not good at talking. like I would mess up speaking if I was on the show too.
I think people also have like a recency bias too. Like they're gonna forget the thing that happened before because now, oh, he looks weird now. They're not thinking back to like who we actually voted for.
They hit like the reset button where it's like, oh my god, we got it wrong. Like we gotta rethink our whole strategy now. And then it's like you forget. Yeah, they don't bother thinking about it. Also, I don't know if like Deontay was part of that conversation, but it is actually interesting to go back, like because when Max gets voted out, it's only like 10 votes.
Yeah, it is a lot more split than
there are a bunch of votes. Yeah, it's 10-2-2-2-1-1. So there are 8 votes not for Max. And I wonder if those 8 votes are like the people that heard Max defend Peppermint. You know what I mean? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I don't think Deontay knows all the information. She's just going off of like his vibes with the guy, and that's it.
Yeah,
basically.
And like that's a lot of votes to try and remember who voted for who. So like even though there aren't a lot of people who didn't vote for Peppermint, like I don't know that anybody's out there like committing all this shit to memory.
I'm not even worried about the votes. There are people that defended Peppermint and then still voted for her. Like I'm not even worried about the votes. It's just like there was a conversation where the vibe of the room was like, it really feels like Peppermint's a traitor for this reason. All those reasons kind of made sense. And Max was like, nah, I'm not buying it. You know, it's like, it's like, that's a weird choice to take when it's very easy just to say like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm down to vote out Peppermint.
Yeah. Or say nothing like he does in this later scene, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think he was asked directly and then he gave like his honest opinion and he was right, but there's no way he does that if he's a traitor. So yeah. This becomes like an emotional vote. All right. What did you think of this grave robbing challenge? This was fun. Come on.
Again, loving the spooky vibes.
The spooky vibes. Yeah.
But then also like, it's not just graves they have to dig up and smash in. It's also like this prison escape style, don't get caught by the the spotlights situation, which everyone is so fucking bad at. It's hilarious.
I couldn't tell. Yes, like the hero of this challenge is going to end up being Bergie. Yeah, end up being Bergie because he like is able to figure out the pattern of the lights,
which is just pretty much they go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, like so many people like kind of like poo him, and then they're like, "There's no pattern. Stop wasting time." And then eventually, like they realize that he's right.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a small space, and there's 2 searchlights. Like I do think if you weren't following the pattern and you got like too focused on like smashing a grave up, you would get caught by the light. Now, the fact that there was a pattern makes it more doable, though. I kind of thought it was just kind of like random guys like deciding when to move the light faster. That's what I thought it was.
And there's also like a lot of people who like try to hide behind something, and that doesn't actually like that does not count for them not getting caught. Yeah. So I can't be mad at them because like my brain would also probably be like, oh well, I hide behind this. I'm in the shadow of this grave. That doesn't count. Yeah, exactly.
Video game logic. I think these challenges are fun to watch. It's kind of like Survivor. Like I enjoy watching the challenges on Survivor. They're not at this like era in reality TV. Like
they're not super consequential.
Especially on this show, like the challenges don't matter too much. Now they can create drama, which is partially the reason
what's going to happen here. Yeah.
But I mostly view this as like who gets the shields.
Yeah.
And that's all that really matters.
That's also where the drama comes from this time.
Yeah, that's true. Because again, it's good. Like people are realizing, like I might as well just go for these shields. Like this is the strategy. So Tamra, Peter, and then Janelle are going to get shields, but there's going to be a conflict between Janelle and Ekin-Su over the last shield. They're going to have like a tug of war over it, and then they have 2 very different stories about.
And I didn't bother like going back and rewatching to see which story felt more real to me.
The reality of the situation is even crazier.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. So they essentially, I don't know like who had it first, but like, I don't know who it was, but it was like some guy. It might have been like Kevin. Kevin was like the one.
I think it was CT who came out and like smashed it, and then
that
immediately got.
I think that was earlier. Like so, CT like found the hammer and smashed up one of the shields, but then he got hit by the spotlight and he had to leave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then later in the challenge, Tamra like saw that one was open, and Tamra, I believe, got the one that CT broke open. But then I think like in the moment that Janelle and Ekin-Su are like the one they're tug of war over, like some guy, I think it might have been Kevin, was like he was the guy with the hammer like smashing it open, and then I don't know who it was, like Janelle or Ekin-Su was just like, I need that, and then whoever the guy was that was smashing it open like didn't even bother. You think it was Peter?
I think the guy was Peter, and he had already picked up a shield, one. So that's why he didn't care.
That would make sense. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, but then Janelle and Ekin-Su like both. Now I actually don't know between Janelle and Ekin-Su. Like Ekin-Su might have like said the words like I need that, but then Janelle was like also going for it, and like it's just it was just a brute strength that Janelle's gonna win that. So yeah, but it's funny, like both their stories are essentially the same story, but like the other person was like the aggressive one who like came in and was like
and in their own story they touched it first, of course,
in their own mind that shield belonged to them, and anybody that tried to take it from them was being overly aggressive. Yeah, go for the shields. Mission accomplished to at least look like you want a shield, they both succeeded.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny, like, they both explained the situation like it was no big deal. It's no big deal, but you were the one that, like, did this. And then they're like, wait, I was saying it was no big deal, but you were the one that said you were the one that did it. Oh, here we go. Peter and Kevin have a great conversation. First of all, Kevin throws out Janelle as a possible traitor. And Peter immediately is like, no, Janelle is a faithful. And I was like, yes, okay, this guy gets it. Because, I was like, Janelle's a faithful 2 seconds after taking the blindfold off when she accused John.
Right.
So Peter's all over this, right? So he's identified Janelle as a faithful for sure. And then this came up on the podcast. I don't believe this came up on season 1 of Traitors US, but maybe it has on other seasons. But this idea that the traitors won't murder you if they think that you're targeting another faithful. So Peter proposes to Kevin that at the next banishment ceremony that they just vote for each other so that the traitors feel like they are targeting each other and not the traitors. Which means Peter must also think that Kevin is a faithful, if that's the case.
Yeah.
On the on the podcast version that I listened to of this, a lot of like the podcasters had friendships with each other, and this one person chose to do this strategy, but didn't really tell their friend that they were going to do it, but thought that like, oh, they'll know what I'm doing. So like at the first banishment ceremony, they just like wrote down that person's name and gave some like dumb reason why they voted for them. But unfortunately, the person they voted for ended up being the traitor. So it didn't really work out.
Yeah.
So this only really works if you
know for sure that they're...
Yeah, it's a little weird if you end up doing the strategy with a traitor. But yeah, this idea is pretty smart. This is probably like the only thing you can really do besides getting a shield to like defend yourself against getting murdered at night.
But here's the thing about it for me is when they do it
kind of dumb.
They just vote for each other. They don't talk about it ahead of time. So like, I don't think it's real if I'm a person at this table, just the same way whoever earlier threw out a vote for somebody random and didn't say it, you know, like if you think it's somebody, there's no reason why you shouldn't bring it up at least at this table. If you're going to vote for them, it's pointless to vote for them if you haven't talked about it.
Yeah. It's almost like you're just like burning your vote because you don't
want to make a decision
who it is, but they tried to make it seem like they actually are voting each other because they think they're a traitor.
Yeah, I just don't think they did enough acting with it to make it believable.
Yeah, the time to do it, like the best time to do it would have been at the first one where like everybody was voting for Peppermint, right? So you're just like, okay, everybody's kind of said their thing. I'll just throw out there, like, I see where everybody's talking about with Peppermint, but my vibe just says it's not her. And then you just throw out a name like during the discussion, like the only weird vibes I have is this random person.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've talked about that with them earlier. But even if you didn't, like even if you create fake tension with somebody without them knowing that it's fake, it's still kind of good for you, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to survive to the end.
Yeah. Like maybe that, like you want to like pick somebody that like won't overreact to like receiving one vote at the banishment ceremony.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the only thing you can do, pretty much. You're right though. Like the way that Parvati kind of did it, it looks the same way. Where like from what we saw, she never mentioned Kevin until they voted. Now maybe she did, and they just
that's true. They might have just edited it out.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about the Kevin and Peter thing is that I believe this is the first time that this fake tension strategy has made the edit of the show for the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually never been done or we're just seeing it because like people are going to be sketched out by them or they're going to both maybe make it deep into the game as.
Yeah.
Especially Peter. I find myself rooting for the Traitors mostly when I watch the show. But I'm kind of rooting for Peter now because he's shown me some intelligent thoughts basically as a faithful.
Yeah, I don't think I would predict that Kevin was going to make it deep. Like just the fact that he seems real unfamiliar with who most of these people are from like a reality TV show standpoint feels like he doesn't watch these shows. He's maybe not prepared for what that all is entailed. Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Kevin is like also a good person to just murder because it's like, what are the consequences of murdering Kevin as a as a traitor? Like, I feel like no one's gonna. I would be more inclined to kill the people that I think have indicated that they're faithful, and Kevin hasn't really done either. So I guess I would be keeping Kevin around probably if I was a traitor because there's so many people that I think have identified or made themselves look like faithfuls.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they didn't banish Mark at the ceremony, he might have been up for murder the next night because it felt like he was almost a confirmed faithful, but then they just banished him.
Yeah. So yeah, before they get to the round table, there's a lot of talk about Dan being quiet. That is the like big hubbub about the house for the day.
But Parvati finds out about it and tells Dan. So Dan is like prepared going into the round table that his name is going to come up. So he has like pre-thought of what he's going to say, which is very helpful, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Dan makes like the I'm a shy, hard to open up person defense at the banishment. I think it's a pretty good defense.
It is not confirmed or denied by anybody who knows him in real life.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems believable. I mean, like, I would definitely have gone along with voting out Dan if I was a faithful. Like, I wouldn't have been against it.
Yeah.
I would hope that I would have been privy to the knowledge that Max defended Peppermint, and I would have been like, there's no way this guy, there's no way this guy's a traitor. Yeah, so it feels like Dan gets very lucky here.
Because Deontay like
starts
in on Max. Yeah,
Deontay saves Dan here, is what it feels like.
Yeah, like he even defends him. He's like, people are different. Some people are quiet, whatever. But who's suspicious as hell? This Max guy. And like he has a whole big like feels like a speech he rehearsed. Like
it's very dramatic the way he does it too. Yeah.
And then he tries to like force the like focus on this whole Janelle Ekansu thing, but
Max
just comes back to him. Yeah,
it's a bad deterrent too. Like, I don't know why he didn't go back to the Dan thing. The whole Janelle Ekansu thing like has nothing to do with the game. It's just like they had a tug of war. They're just in a fight.
Shield. They're angry at each other.
They're just upset about the shield, but everybody equally wants the shield. And if anything, it indicates that they're faithful, right? So it's like it's a really bad defense. I think the move you have to do, the move I would do in the banishment ceremony, if my name gets come up, if like somebody wants to call me out, I would just start listing the people that I thought were faithfuls, and I would include the person that called me out, because I'd be like, I'm faithful, I think you're faithful, because if you weren't, why would you be calling me out? And then I would just try to deflect to whoever, like Dan was perfect to deflect to here. I don't know why he didn't, unless he might have just also thought Dan was a faithful and didn't want to. I don't know. Everybody should have realized that Max was a faithful, but Max did not do a good job of like
reminding everyone of the reasons why.
Even though everybody kind of had it, the information, it's like he didn't really talk about it. He probably didn't even realize himself that he made it clear that he was a faithful. Right. I don't know. But Deontay and then Sandra also. This is such like a wild crossover of like entertainment when like Deontay Wilder and Sandra Diaz Twine are like working together to convince a group of other reality stars that somebody
that they need to vote out the dancing guy. Yeah.
It's like so wild to think about this crossover. But Sandra like thinks Max like smiled when Peppermint revealed that she was
voted out. Or when it's like he didn't even vote for her. Like if you're gonna remember something from that time, him not voting for her is the important thing.
So between Deontay and his personality, and then anybody that respects Sandra in terms of her experience on these shows, I think Bergie is gonna basically vote with Sandra just because he trusts Sandra,
right?
In terms of her experience, between Deontay and Sandra, they are gonna basically convince enough people to vote out Max.
Yeah, this is where Parvati does her sweet move of writing a D, crossing it out, and then writing Kevin.
That is so sneaky too. It's
chalk. She could have wiped it off.
She could have wiped it.
It was very performative D crossing out.
Yeah. It's kind of, Well, I'm curious to see if that causes tension. Tension between Dan and Parvati. But that's like the only downside to it. But it really covers up her tracks in terms of like, I definitely thought about voting out Dan, but I don't know. I just switched at the last second. Very well thought out. Definitely advanced gameplay from Parvati. Really good. Yeah, Max gets banished. Who else got votes here? Max gets 10. Peter gets 1. Dan gets 2. Okay, that's who we should note. Larsa and MJ are the first faithfuls to correctly vote for a traitor, and they both put their votes on Dan. And MJ is not voted with the majority twice. She voted for John the first time, so good on them.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody in season 1 correctly voted for a traitor this early. second banishment ceremony. I don't think so. So they're way ahead of the game at this point, even though they didn't get it right. That's the other strategy that kind of came up on the podcast I listened to, where like some people were throwing out the idea like, okay, we have nothing to go off of. We don't know who the traitor is. Like, let's vote out somebody that either, if they are a traitor, it would really suck if they were a traitor. Like, they would be really good at it. Or let's vote out somebody that, even if they are a faithful, we just think they would be a really unhelpful faithful.
Either the best person in the game or the worst person in the game.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where Deontay is right now, where it's like so Deontay's gonna basically cry. Like, that's where he's gonna cry after he's like the one that gets Max banished, and then he's wrong.
Yeah,
he's gonna really feel bad. I almost think he stepped up to try to, like, he really wanted to get it right because he didn't want to feel the way he felt when
after Peppermint
went. So he thought, like, he really wanted to find something and be right, and then that's why he went like all in on the Max. But then when he was wrong, he's like even more devastated because it was like actually his fault this time. So he's crying, like, legit feels so bad.
I think he's even like, I just don't know that I could do this anymore. Like,
like he might quit.
Maybe he's gonna quit the show. Talk. Yeah.
Is he gonna quit and that's why they add somebody, or is it I really don't understand how you add somebody into the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Like, even if you tell everybody like, oh, there's a 50% chance they're a traitor, it's like, I would just vote you out. Like, that's a higher chance than anybody else in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. You'd have to like make the odds of them becoming a traitor like equivalent to the odds of being a traitor.
Yeah.
In the game currently, something like that. So like, maybe it is possible. I don't know. We'll see how they do it. Where are we at?
It's murder time again, right?
Oh wait, yeah. Okay, this is so good.
Okay, so they don't get to go to their tower of murder and just pick someone.
This is really exciting.
They individually get letters that they need to. There is a poison chalice hidden in some books in the library. They have to get that out and then convince somebody to drink out of it, because the first faithful who drinks from it before they're all sent off to bed is gonna die. But they do specify that they don't get poisoned right away and fall over, so, you don't get caught right next to them having just handed them a glass. But yeah, so they have to murder someone in plain sight.
If we didn't explain the normal murder process, like, the traitors go to this, they call it like a turret, but it's basically just like this room in the castle that they just meet, and then they talk, and then they just sign a piece of paper with the person's name they're gonna murder. That piece of paper gets delivered to the person that's gonna be eliminated from the show overnight, and then they just don't show up at breakfast. But this twist is called Murder in Plain Sight, which they did not do this in season 1, so I was very excited by this. So they basically have to, like, this is basically like the Devil's Plan Mafia style game where they played, where, like, in order to kill somebody you had to, like, do finger guns at them.
Yeah.
But, like, do it in a way where, like, nobody would see you doing it. But this is like even more elaborate than that.
Yeah. I was at a murder mystery party once where I had to do the murder in a similar, like, put this fake poison in a glass, and it is very stressful.
You had to do this? Hard. Like, you've done this in real life? Okay, you got to give me all the...
Well, except like, you can't, it wasn't I have to get somebody to drink out of this glass. I have to, like, sneak in this, like, fake poison into the right glass.
Oh, like you're dumping, like, extra water into somebody's beverage.
Yeah, basically.
That's easier.
It wasn't, though, because, like, the glasses were, like, all in front of everybody, and it was so stressful, and I hated every moment of it.
It wasn't like a socializing, like everybody's glasses are moving around, or no?
Well, it was like we were there for, like, a dinner party, and, like, there was supposed to be a final toast, and, like, the host was getting the glasses for the final toast set up on this side table, and I had to, like, nobody knew how the murder was going to happen or whatever, but but I had to go over there and, like, yes, I am definitely not fiddling with these drinks that are right in front of a large mirror that, it was... Oh,
gotcha, okay.
It was very stressful.
So the way this breaks down is the way you said, like, there's a secret chalice inside the cutout of 3 books that are actually 1 book. like Shakespeare books or whatever. And so they have to, during the night while everybody's like socializing in the normal rooms, like they have to go to the library, get this chalice, and then like pour any drink into the chalice and get somebody to drink out of it. And then that's the person that's going to die that night instead of the normal process.
And not only that, like, I know you notice that like everybody has like fancy cups, but they're all different. But like this cup looks like shitty. Like it is like picking the cup in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And like there's all these fancy bejeweled ones, and then there's this shitty rusty one. And so like that adds an extra layer of how you gonna get anybody to drink out of this bullshit? I don't know.
At least all their glasses are like chalice shaped. But like some of them are definitely like plastic.
Yeah. Or glass or whatever. Yeah. Where this is like a metal cup.
Yeah, I almost like wouldn't even care who got murdered at this point. I'd just be like, whoever's I can get to drink out of this, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the consequence is of, like, it's just they don't get to do a murder if they don't get somebody to drink out of it, right? It's not like they are punished in any way.
I guess so, yeah. Like they made it seem like there was like midnight was like a time limit, but maybe that's when they
because I think that's when they all had to go to bed. Yeah.
I guess they just wouldn't do a murder. I don't know.
But that's
you got to do it though. Yeah, that's no fun. Exactly. Yeah. So the way that breaks down though is that basically Phaedra doesn't hang out with Parvati and Dan normally. Like they're not part of the same circles that usually hang out during the downtime. So it would be like so suspicious. She acknowledges like it would just be too weird for me to go talk to them all of a sudden. So I'm just gonna let them deal with the whole chalice thing.
Yeah.
And then Parvati and Dan get some time to talk to each other, and she's like, "All right, you find the cup, and then I'll do it." So he like finds the books. He like finds the books, and then they do it. Like they have a shot of like people in the hallway that do have line of sight on them while they're like fiddling with the library books.
But he's kind of like she's fiddling with the books, and he's sort of like in front of her, like more towards the room to hide her a little. I don't know. They pull it off, but it was close.
Yeah, the other thing is like if you've only watched like season 1 of the show, they didn't do this in season 1, so you have no reason to like have your eye out for any like weird activities that would be like murders in plain sight kind of things. But this is like this is really exciting. And then the rest of the episode is just Parvati like going room to room, like trying to figure out a way to like get somebody to drink out of this shitty chalice. It's pretty good. And they this is where Dan and Parvati talk about, should we like try to get Sherry to drink out of it? Because like Phaedra will never vote to murder.
Would never
Sherry,
agree to
but,
get rid of her
if
normally.
We just get her to drink out of this, Phaedra can't say no. You know.
But then like Phaedra was hanging out with her when Parvati comes in and is like giving her the stink eye, like, don't you poison her right
like,
now.
Phaedra sees the chalice and is like, that's definitely the poison chalice. Like, you better not make it would have been great if like Parvati was like about to get Sherry to like drink out of it, and then like Phaedra like pulls the drink out of her hand or something. Like,
yeah. And I think she could drink out of it without, because it specifically said the first faithful to drink out of it.
Oh, really?
Would be poison. Okay. So I think like, Phaedra could have even pulled it off.
I'd be too scared that the show would just be like, oh, you drink out of it, you're dead. I'd be like, no, I'm not even risking it.
Yeah. And then the show ends with her like, I think she's in the kitchen and she's like, oh, I found my target. Let's go. And we don't know who it is or how it turns out.
They edited like it's going to be Peter. But the thing is, who has the shields? Peter has a shield, right? So he can't be murdered even by poison? I don't think so. Like, I don't think...
Well, maybe she forgets about that and poisons the person who can't die, and maybe nobody dies.
That might be what happens, actually. Because there is a part in the preview where Parvati's like in confessional being like, they were supposed to be dead. But that could be like later in the game when like they don't know who has the shield, and then they like happen to choose the person that has it. But it could be right now, like she just forgets that he has the shield.
Exactly.
And then it just doesn't work.
I would be really nervous about if there would be a difference in the way this murder gets announced. Probably not, but like you have to worry about getting caught in the moment of trying to get somebody to drink out of this sketchy ass cup. But then like if the next day they say something like, oh, somebody was poisoned, then like I would be extra worried that like somebody caught on to me acting weird.
Yeah.
In retrospect, it's a difficult spot.
If anything, Alan might say, like, just so you know, the murder last night happened in plain sight. Like, he might say that. But, like, not really
just to get them on their edge or something. Yeah.
Or, like, he might say it happened in front of your eyes, maybe. But I don't know. I almost kind of hope they just let
announce
it happen.
Like normal.
And then this just becomes, like, a thing that you might think about if you're on the show in the future. Like, this could be a thing that, like, if you notice somebody doing touch a weird thing, it could be because they're a traitor and they have to do this task for some reason. Yeah. It would kind of make more sense if, like, they had to do something. If the traitors had to do something, like, during the challenges or something, that would maybe take away. That would make them, like, look suspicious. But in order to, like, murder somebody that night, they had to, like, do something in the challenge. I don't know. But yeah. This show's still at a very basic level in terms of the mechanics they do. Like, it's not that complicated in terms of the rules of the show. And they could definitely make it more interesting as it goes. There's a lot of growth that this show can do, and it's already good, I think.
Yeah.
Parvati says, I finally found my target. And then that's it of episode 3. And now we have to wait till Thursday at 9:00.
Oh, is that when it's out? Okay.
I think it's something like that. I don't know if it's how many episodes are going to be released. Like, I don't know if it's 2. Like, they release 3. It could be 3 episodes a week. I'm not sure. I think it's 12 episodes total. So.
Okay. That would be convenient. I paid for a month of Peacock. Then I can cancel it after that month.
Oh, okay. Nice. Could have just used my Peacock, but okay. Did you get ad free?
I didn't even think about it. No, I didn't.
Okay, neither do I. Yeah, Peacock has the WWE pay-per-views as part of their network or whatever. So.
Yeah, I had a free Peacock account because we were watching the WWE stuff for the podcast the one time. And I saw you can watch the first season of this for free without actually paying.
Do it.
So heads up to everybody who's now intrigued by the show.
Oh, yeah, come on.
You watch the first season for free.
Okay, season 1 is so good. It's so good. I was trying to get Sarah to watch it so we could just talk about it for the podcast.
And you say that like I refused to watch it. I just put it off until we decided it was time, and then we decided to do season 2.
Go watch season 1. Season 1 is really good. I will admit it's a little bit slow at first. The fact that there's no shields in the beginning, it's not as good of a start as season 2 is.
But it's all already out, so you can just get through it real fast and get on to the good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember. I think I watched that season 1. I didn't watch it when it came out. I think I watched it like a little bit before or after we watched Squid Game, and I was like, we have to talk about Traitors season 1 because we just have to show like what actual good gameplay is compared to whatever the hell they were doing on Squid Game, the challenge. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. Are you gonna finish the season, Sarah?
Yeah, I think I'm into it. Yeah. I'm gonna keep watching.
So like whenever we have to watch shows for the podcast, like I end up like having to watch them before my wife and I can watch them together.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the show's not good enough, I really don't want to rewatch it. Which happened with Singles Inferno. Like I don't know if my wife's gonna make it through Singles Inferno because like I really don't want to watch it with her. But this show I will rewatch for sure. Like I've even the details of like I didn't notice Parvati writing the D and then writing Kevin afterwards until my wife pointed it out. I was like, that is so good. So there's little things you can pick up on in conversations, even watching it a second time. So I think it's my second favorite show now.
Okay.
And I'll have to if they did like an all new people season, I'll have to see if the format still works. But I think it will. I think it would. All right. Anything else you want to say about Traitors, Sarah?
No, it's pretty good. I liked it. Love Alan Cumming being over dramatic every single time.
Yeah, I love it too. All right. Next time, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Next time, we are going to finish up, what's the name of that show? Lovecatcher and Polly.
Lovecatcher and Polly. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think from the people that are left comments and will continue listening to the podcast after Singles Inferno, they want to hear Transit Love 3, which is currently going on. I think we checked in, it's like 4 episodes in, we said, right?
Yes.
Looks like episodes come out maybe on Sundays for that. But it's 16 episodes long. I'm definitely not looking to go episode by episode on that. And I think it makes more sense to finish up Love Catcher and Bali before we jump into Transit Love 3.
Yeah, and by episode to episode, you mean like we might do an episode about that and then do an episode about something else. And then like we're theoretically going to make it through the season, but maybe just not all in a straight shot.
Yeah. Unless people come up with a better idea, we'll probably end up covering all of Transit Love 3. But we might
pace ourselves.
Theoretically, we'll do Love Catcher Bali. Then we might do like the first episode of Transit Love 3 might be like us quickly covering like the first 6 episodes in one podcast just to catch up to live where the show's airing now. And then depending on, if we get really into it, I'll go episode by episode each week.
Yeah.
If we really get into it. If I need a break from watching that show, we might mix in a week where we do a different show, and then when we come back we'll just cover like 2 or 3 episodes or whatever we need to catch back up. So yeah, if you want us to cover something else, keep sending in ideas.
Yep. Especially if like anything is starting, especially if it's somewhere that's easy to watch like Netflix, that's always helpful, and more people have access to it. It's easier, and it's nice to cover things as they go along. But I think we're protecting ourselves a little bit from Transit Love, given how it hurt us in the past. And
if I see something or you see something, we might just throw it in there.
Yeah,
in the middle there. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to watching the rest of Love Catcher Bali. So we're going to be covering episodes 3 through 8, which will take us all the way to the finale, because we already talked about episodes 1 and 2 on the last podcast. That was a while ago, though. Sarah, can you tell me the name of one participant on Love Catcher Bali? One name. I'm struggling right now. It's been months.
Okay, I've cheated and brought up my list.
That's not remembering. That's remembering you had a list.
Yeah, I was prepared. I have a list.
I took notes too. I have a list. I remember things that happened. I just don't remember everybody's name. But I'll get it back. I'll get it back quickly.
Oh yeah.
I'm open to Love Catcher in Bali, or just maybe Love Catcher being my favorite Korean dating show. Well, I have high hopes.
See how that works out.
I have high hopes for this show. All right.
What we did watch was a good time.
Where can people contact us, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com, tweet at us at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod, leave a comment under this video on YouTube, also at keepwatchingpod, and if you think we're a traitor and ought to be voted out, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
No one's going to think we're a traitor, and then they're not going to leave a review.
Okay, or if you think we're definitely a faithful, go for it. Either way, you do you. I don't know.
I honestly like being a traitor. Would you want to be a traitor or a faithful on the Traitors? Really, like, the right answer is Traitors. And would you rather be Would you rather be a love catcher or a money catcher on the show Love Catcher? The answer is you want to be a money catcher. Like, I feel like you're making a mistake if you're not making those choices.
I don't know. It depends on what you're there for.
Yeah, I guess. But also, one's better than the other, I think. In both cases.
I guess.
I will similarly to how I root for the Traitors in Traitors, I will be rooting for at least where I left off in episode 2 was like I was rooting for the money catchers, or like the people I liked. I wanted them to be.
You were hoping they were money catchers, yeah, and you're gonna be so disappointed if they aren't.
I will lose respect for them if they chose to be love catchers.
Well, brace yourself for disappointment, because you liked a bunch of people and they can't all be money catchers.
Yeah, did we like people like through 2 episodes on the show?
I think we did.
I think we did, yeah.
Definitely did.
I kind of liked it because of the context of the show, if I remember correctly. Like I'm less invested in like, I want to see like cute couples out of this because there's this money aspect to it. I do see it as like a bit of a game show, not just a dating show,
romance show, yeah.
And I like that. So interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.